All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's edition of another live commentary stream here on KRC as I present to you the NASCAR Cup Series United Rentals Work United 500 at the Phoenix Raceway. It is the fourth leg of the season for the NASCAR Cup Series. We're going to go through some predictions here leading up to the start of today's race, which won't be for about another 40 minutes or so. Buckle up. We'll have some drivers that you should absolutely stay away from for your fantasy lineups. Potential late betting advice for you guys for drivers you probably should stay away from. Drivers you could potentially pick to get top 10s, wins, and so on and so forth. We got a lot of predictions for today's race. So appreciate everybody tuning in here for our pre-race coverage of this Phoenix race for the Cup Series. Rutherford Motorsports fan, weather expert gaming, Billy Kramer, Regine Huddleston, thanks for being the first in the chat down below. Appreciate everybody tuning in here today, and also appreciate everybody that tuned in yesterday throughout the Xfinity Series live commentary stream. It was our second most watched race of the season, right behind the week before at Las Vegas, so appreciate everybody again for that one. Before we get into today's picks, I do want to show you guys a little bit of the Fantasy League standings coming into this race. I haven't been showing the standings coming into the race weekend, so I will do that now. Let me back up real quick, actually, because if you're not in the Fantasy League, you can join. It is free to win, or I should say it's free to join, and a chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race if you're choosing the following season, if you win the regular season or the playoff championship. If you go on the NASCAR website, you can go up to where it says Quick Links right here, hit Fantasy Live, and then you can sign up with your email. Again, it is free to join. The sign-in, I don't know exactly where that would be. I would imagine it would be probably about where it says sign out on my end, towards the top right of the screen. So there's a look at my fantasy team for this week. Got Byron, Blaney, Larson, Kyle Busch, Chastain, Harvick. I'll get into a lot of those picks here in a little bit, and then you have your bonus picks down at the bottom. The league is KRC League, so KRC in all caps, space, capital L on League. I will put that in the chat real quick. So there we go, KRC League, and that is how you search. You just hit join. You should be able to just hit join. So you pick 5 drivers every single week. You have a garage driver you can swap in before the end of stage number 2. You can only pick the same driver up to 10 times throughout the course of a season. So as you see on my team, for the drivers I have today, I've actually used a few of them a couple times already this year. Santiago Kid, welcome into the stream also. Alex Bowman's car's pretty cool. Yeah, he's got a different paint scheme this week. I didn't pay too much of attention to it when I was watching qualifying yesterday, to be completely honest, but I did hear he's got like a little bit of orange on the car, I guess, this weekend. So we'll get into the prediction picks now. And while that's going on, I'll pull the raw feed back up so you can see the starting lineup in the background. Races on the Big Fox today. Danica Patrick is a guest commentator in the booth for the second straight week for Fox. She'll be with Clint Boyer and Mike Joy. So there's the raw feedback up for you guys. So going through my notes here for drivers who you should stay away from, I think we'll start off with first. So these are 3 drivers that you should stay away from in your fantasy lineups today. Also, potentially just stay away from them as far as maybe some betting picks like, hey, should I pick this guy for a top 10? I'd say it's probably smart for you to just stay away from them, personally. And we're going to start off with the guy that actually was just mentioned most recently in the chat, oddly enough. Alex Bowman in the 48 car. I would stay away from him for any sort of a pick. Personally, I don't think he's going to get a top 10 finish today. The only reason where I think there's a situation he could get a top 10 today is because he is in Hendrick Motorsports equipment. We saw last week Hendrick Motorsports had a 1-2-3 finish at Las Vegas, and those were the 3 fastest cars by far in the field. You could probably even consider if Chase Elliott was healthy and was racing, that he was probably going to contend for the win with those guys as well. Bowman was the third of those 3 throughout the course of the race, but he was definitely the 3rd fastest car in the field. Hendrick Motorsports is unloaded with somewhat similar speed this weekend, maybe not as dominant across the board, but with Kyle Larson being the fastest in practice and qualifying on the pole, and William Byron qualifying in 3rd again. you can maybe look for Alex Bowman getting a top 10, but the reason why I say stay away from him is because he has 0 top 10 finishes in his last 10 starts with HMS right here at Phoenix. In fact, his only career top 10 came in his sub-start that he had back in 2016 with HMS when he filled in for the injured Dale Earnhardt Jr. at the time. So that's where he got his big break, of course, but ever since returning to this track in that race car, he has not performed very well. His best finish is 13th, in fact, of all those races. He was 3rd fastest in practice, but he did qualify a lot deeper in the field compared to his other Hendrick Motorsports teammates. In fact, all of his Hendrick Motorsport teammates outqualified him. Bowman will be starting 18th today. So Josh Berry, obviously, he just barely outqualified him. Wasn't as quick as Bowman in practice necessarily. So I think Bowman having good practice speed is somewhat promising for any Alex Bowman fans out there watching today's race. I just don't think it's a wise pick. I was actually messaging somebody earlier today for betting picks, and I was like, I'm like 65-35 on him not getting a top 10. So I do think that there's that outside chance that he could get it. I'm probably least confident of the 3 don't have drivers of Bowman getting a top 10 that I'll mention here, but I don't feel confident enough to say that he is a bold pick that you guys should put in your lineup. I would stay away from him. There's other tracks that you can definitely use him at this season. I wouldn't waste a usage for Alex Bowman today, personally. The other 2 drivers that I have, we'll start off with the 2311 Toyota of Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace has failed to finish inside the top 10 in all 4 starts here with 2311 Racing. In fact, he has finished outside the top 15 in all 4 of those starts. 16th, 39th, and 2 22nd place finishes. Both those 22nd place finishes came last season, so not very good on the flat tracks I've noticed for Toyota, even though Christopher Bell won at Martinsville last year and Martin Truex Jr. won the Clash this season. Outside of those cars specifically in those races, the other ones have left a little to be desired as far as speed goes. Speed this weekend for Bubba Wallace, not looking too good either. I know he's coming in off a top 5 finish, but Las Vegas, an intermediate track, 1.5 mile cookie cutter, versus a short track that is flat, it races completely different. That's another reason why I wouldn't necessarily correlate the exact speed that Hendrick had last week versus what Bowman could have this week. Something else I didn't mention there, but I'll mention real quick. Bubba Wallace also qualified pretty deep in the field, 19th, just 1 spot behind Bowman, and was 16th fastest in practice. So unlike Alex, at least, where he had top 5 speed for a short run in practice, couldn't translate that well into qualifying. Bubba Wallace didn't even have that in practice on Friday. Remember, they had a 50-minute session due to the change in the rules package. With the smaller rear spoiler, they're going to have a lot less downforce this weekend as well, which could create a lot more slipping and sliding, especially with the sunny conditions today versus in qualifying yesterday, which was pretty much overcast. So Bubba Wallace, Alex Bowman, stay away from those 2 drivers. The third driver to stay away from is a guy who actually, as I mentioned, won on a flat track recently, and that would be Martin Truex Jr. I know he won the Clash, but this is the first traditional short track in NASCAR. Traditional meaning we don't have any other quarter-mile racetracks on the schedule, but this is one of 3 one-mile racetracks and one of 6 1-mile or less than length racetracks on the season. Martin Truex Jr.'s finishes at Phoenix have not fared well for him. He's actually finished outside the top 10 in 5 of the last 8 Phoenix races. He qualified 13th today, also outside the top 10 like Bubba Wallace and Alex Bowman. And just like Bubba Wallace was pretty deep in the practice running order as well, he was 17th quickest there. Last season's finishes with the next-gen car at Phoenix, 15th and 35th in the season finale last year. So I do think that Martin Truex Jr. should be a no-go for you guys for your fantasy picks for today. He did have a win here in the spring race in 2021, but again, it's just not consistent enough for me to say that he is a wise pick for you guys, so that's why I'm going to stay away from him, and I think you guys should too. So let me know down in the chat if you agree or disagree with those picks. I'm curious to see what you think. So again, Alex Bowman, Bubba Wallace, and Martin Truex Jr. are my 3 don't have picks. I don't think they're going to get top 10 finishes today, so those are my predictions for that. Mike George, thanks for tuning in. Wade Solinsky, welcome into the stream also. Got Larson, Bowman, Busch, Hamlin, Byron. I'd take Bowman out of the lineup personally. I mean, it's your call at the end of the day, but yeah, I would stay away from Alex Bowman. It's a risky pick. It is a risk. I'm not... I am technically saying he's not going to get a top 10 because I don't think he'll get a top 10. It wouldn't shock me if he got a top 10 today just because he's in a Hendrick Motorsports car, but I don't think that should dictate whether you should take him or not, because again, he's been in a Hendrick Motorsport car the last 10 races there, and he has finished outside the top 10 every single time as well, so just not a smart pick. So we'll roll into these sleeper picks next. I've got a couple of them here, and we are going to start off with Brad Keselowski. So Brad Keselowski, according to Vegas, plus 3,000 odds to win today's race. Even for a top 10 at plus 270, I'm guaranteeing he's going to get a top 10 finish today. He was very quick on Friday night in practice. He was 6th fastest there and qualified 4th. Keselowski's coming in off a top 10 performance through most of last week's race. He didn't finish in the top 10, but ran there most of the day, fell out at the very end. And then the week before that at Auto Club, he did get a top 10 while running in the back half of the top 10 most of the race. RFK is unloaded with a lot more speed to start this year versus what they ran for probably the first 2/3 of the season last year. And for Brad Keselowski specifically, he has been one of the more consistent drivers to start this season, whether it is speed at the racetrack and even getting some decent finishes along the way. So Keselowski, I'm predicting him to get a top 10 in today's race. I think he's a good pick for it, considering his odds as well. So go with Brad K in your lineup for a potential sleeper pick. Another driver who I have for a sleeper pick is going to be in the Ford camp, and it's going to be Chase Briscoe. He is the defending winner of this race. Briscoe not only finished first in the spring race last year, but in the fall race, in the championship race, he finished in 4th place. So solid run there as well. He led 101 laps en route to his win in the spring. And if you look at the flat tracks in general, again, Ford seemingly around the board is the car to beat, and especially right here at Phoenix. Last season, Ford in the championship finale had 4 Fords inside the top 5. The only outlier was Ross Chastain, who finished 3rd that day. And then in the spring race, they had 5 of the top 10 drivers at the end of the race being Ford. So Ford is going to be a lot better, I think, this weekend than what they put out last weekend at Vegas. Personally, I don't think a Ford will win today's race, or at least in my pick, I don't have a Ford winning today's race, but I do think that Briscoe and Keselowski could have top 10 runs. They are 2 of the underdog picks. And then this driver who I would have considered an underdog if he didn't win last week, but I'll still kind of throw him into the underdog this week. That would be William Byron. He has 4 top 10s in his last 6 Phoenix starts. And he's coming off a dominant win last weekend at Las Vegas. So I'm riding William Byron's hot streak to start this season. I think, well, it's not really even a hot streak to start the season. If it wasn't for last week, I think he was 29th in points before that, and that picked him up quite a bit in the standings with winning both stages and the race, getting a max points day. Needless to say, I do think William Byron is going to be a strong pick for a top 10 finish. He starts 3rd, was 20th in practice, didn't unload very great on Friday, but the track conditions over the last 2 days are going to be a lot different from what it is today. It is sunny. The track is going to be a lot slicker today than what it was in qualifying yesterday and on Friday in practice, because on Friday they were more in the evening hours than what they are for this race today. So I wouldn't factor that in too much unless it factors into the fact that they qualified and practiced well, kind of like a Keselowski. So that would be the sleeper picks. So again, William Byron, Brad Keselowski, and Chase Briscoe will be my 3 sleeper picks for this weekend. Got some must-have picks to get through this week, and we are going to start off with the most obvious, I think, and that is going to be another driver in the Ford camp, and that would be Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick in his final season once again this year. This is probably his best racetrack statistically in his Cup career. He has 9 wins, which is the most of any driver, not even just active, but any driver all time. This track debuted back in 1989, so it takes an elite list of drivers from then. Kevin Harvick is the elitist of them at this track specifically. He is also the all-time laps leader at Phoenix to go along with that. 19 straight top 10 finishes here. He broke Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s record in the fall race last season for most consecutive top 10s at a single racetrack in NASCAR Cup Series history, with finishing in the top 5 in that race. Finished 5th and 6th at both Phoenix races specifically last year. In his last 19 races, he has 7 wins at this racetrack in that stretch. He has 16 top 5 finishes in the last 25 races here as well. And I mentioned the 19 straight top 10s. Well, if you go back a couple more races to 25, he has 23 top 10s in his last 25 starts. So it is a pretty smart pick to have Kevin Harvick in your fantasy lineup today. I think he's a must-have. I think at the very least he will get a top 10. Next driver I'll have on the must-have list is going to be Ross Chastain. Chastain's been off to a pretty solid start so far this season. In the Phoenix races last year, he finished second and third in both of those races, so 2 top 3 finishes. Qualified 6th for today's race. Didn't unload very quick on Friday in practice, but they picked up the speed substantially in qualifying yesterday, and hopefully that translates well for him in the race. At the very least, I'm guaranteeing him a top 10 finish and maybe an outside chance at the win. The third and final must-have pick I have for this weekend is going to be my pick to win today's race. I mentioned I didn't think Ford was going to win. I picked this guy to actually win last week, and he finished runner-up in second. I think it's going to be Kyle Larson. He's not only my favorite to win today's race, but he's Vegas's favorite at plus 350 odds. Pretty much a whole, like, almost, I don't know how you would compare that, but the next closest would be plus 600 odds to win today's race, and that would be guys at the likes of Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. Ross Chastain are right around there in that mix, and personally, Larson just has looked so much quicker than not only those 3 drivers, but the rest of the field as well. He had the fastest 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 lap averages in practice on Friday, on top of the fact he qualified on the pole, sweeping qualifying yesterday by both qualifying by 0.3 of a second quicker than second place in group, or I should say in session number 1, and then in session number 2 he backed that up with qualifying on the pole, beating Denny Hamlin by about 1.5. So I do think that Kyle Larson is going to win today's race. He is my pick personally. His Phoenix stats recently, he has in the last 12 races 9 top 10 finishes, 6 top 5s, and 1 win. That win came in 2021 in the championship finale, where he won his first and only Cup championship to date. So that is my predictions for today's race. Just to recap real quickly, must-have picks today, guaranteeing a top 10 finish for him at the very least. Kyle Larson, who is also my win pick, Kevin Harvick, and Ross Chastain. 3 sleeper picks today, Chase Briscoe, William Byron, and Brad Keselowski. And then Martin Truex Jr., Bubba Wallace, and Alex Bowman are the 3 drivers you should stay away from in your don't have picks. Or in my don't have picks specifically. Kevin Beeler, thanks for tuning in. Brad K has been on a roll lately. Yeah, and I'm riding that. Plus 3,000 odds for him to win. I was shocked when I saw that last night before I went to bed when I was getting my stats for today's pre-race. I was like, how do they have him at plus 3,000? Not only he has been a lot faster out of the gate this year, but just looking at not only the speed that they've had, Ford's success at Phoenix. I mean, they won both races last year, and specifically not only winning those races, I mentioned that 4 top 5 finishes for Ford in the finale last year. Spring race, they had 5 drivers on the top 10, which included an RFK car of Chris Buescher having a top 10 finish that day. So at the very least, I think he's going to get a top 10. But I felt like his odds to win the race should have been a lot better. I would have probably seen him at like plus 1,400 or 1,600, so plus 3,000 for me personally. That was a no-brainer to put at least a little bit of money on him to win today's race. Even though I think Kyle Larson is the heavy favorite personally today, I think he's going to have the most dominant car. It's just going to be a matter of, can he not make a mistake on pit road? No speeding penalties. His pit crew, no loose wheel penalties. We've seen his pit crew kind of cost him at times, just as much as we've seen them save themselves at times. I look back to 2021, they seemed to have picked him up when Larson was down, but last season, when Larson made a mistake, his pit crew wasn't really able to recover for him, or his pit crew made a mistake when Larson was having a pretty good day going for himself, and I think that's part of the reason what led him to having 3 wins last year versus 10 the season before. All right. Brett Whiteside, Seth Thomas, welcome into the stream also. Seth Thomas going for Josh Berry in the 9. Sit for Brains, thanks for tuning in. Still going to root for Eric Jones. Yeah, I mean, you can root for your favorite driver. I'm rooting for Ryan Blaney, but I just don't think he's going to win. I think Kyle Larson's just that good. Every driver I picked to win a race this season, whether it was both dual races at Daytona, the Daytona 500, Auto Club Vegas, even the Clash, all the drivers I picked to win have finished inside the top 3. So when I say Kyle Larson's going to win today's race, if he doesn't win today's race, you can pretty much mark him up as a top 3 finish at this point by our trends. Going off of, forget Larry McReynolds' trends, my trends, he's going to likely get a top 3 finish. He had the fastest car both yesterday and Friday, and that's the big thing too, is when you unload with the fastest car one day on a Friday and then you come back the next day and you still have the fastest car. Two different conditions, too. I honestly think Friday's conditions in practice will be more similar to today's race just because it was so overcast all day yesterday at Phoenix. And there was a lot of cloud coverage. The temperature was a little cooler than what it was today and on Friday. And the sun is out. Track's going to be, again, slick. That really plays into Kyle Larson's favor. We know how good he is. You know, dirt racing, I think that will translate well on a slick asphalt track even today. Kyle Larson's my heavy favorite to win today's race. I would not be shocked if Kyle Larson goes on to lead over 200 laps and wins this race. I will guarantee that Larson will lead 200 laps and win, or at least win a stage and win the race today. If he doesn't lead 200 laps, depending on how cautions might play out in the first couple stages, because that could dictate whether he wins a stage or not, because he could be out in front, caution comes out with like 5 laps to go in the stage, like we saw both stage 1 and stage 2 in the Xfinity race yesterday, and then the leaders end up pitting to give up stage points so they can get the track position after that. So I'm not going to guarantee he's going to sweep the stages, win the race today, because something like that could happen. That's why my backup is he's going to lead 200 laps today if he doesn't win. That's my bold prediction of the day. Pick will be Harvick. Yeah, Harvick's a good pick. Good pick for the win, too, honestly. If he does win a race in his final season, I would not be shocked if it was here. I think here, Richmond and Michigan will probably be his best chances to win this season, just based off of how last year went and just success at those tracks in recent years, too. Even prior to the next-gen car. Yeah, I saw the Red Wings are up 4-0 earlier. Right before I started the live stream, actually. Evan Stevens, thanks for tuning in. I'll get the poll going for this week for your guys' pick of who you think will win. Let's see. Go Kyle Larson because he was Vegas's favorite. I have other at the bottom. I'll look up what FanDuel's got real quick for odds, and I'll go based off of that because I can't remember exactly the same order of the top 3. I can remember like the 5 or 6 guys that were up there, but I don't remember the particular order they had them in. Before I post this poll. Yeah, log in real quick. That's not what I wanted to do. Jack LeBlanc, thanks for tuning in also. Who else is in the chat? Colton Schwartz, welcome into the stream also. Yeah, I went pretty heavy with Kyle Larson winning today. Kyle Larson plus 350 is the favorite. Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, William Byron in a 3-way tie at, oh jeez, spelled Denny with an extra N. So we'll put Denny Hamlin, William Byron. Means Byron won last week. I cannot type today. There we go. And we'll close this poll at the end of stage 2, just like we have been doing recently. Marcus Collins, thanks for tuning into the stream also. Sammy Smith won last night, yep. First career Xfinity win for Joe Gibbs Racing, the 18 car. We were watching that race yesterday. Pretty dominant in that final stage with Sammy Smith, too. Who was my pick to win last week? Kyle Larson. And he was so close. If it wasn't for Almirola spinning with 2.5 laps left, he would have won. I missed out on some money off of Larson last week. I can guarantee you he's going to be making me some this week. Even if he doesn't win, as long as he gets a top 10, at least get something out of it. Get my money back. Dale Opplinger, thanks for tuning in. Ty Pride 75, welcome into the stream. Patty Rundy Creations, welcome to the stream. We'll play the national anthem for you guys here while we're waiting for the race to start.
Major League Baseball umpire Ted Barrett.
Father God, you are the creator of the universe. We thank you for this beautiful day. We pray blessings over this track, the people competing, and those who are spectators. We ask you to bless the first responders, police, and firefighters. Please bless our troops, those who are protecting our freedom both here and abroad. And we cry out to you to bring revival to this great nation. In the name of our Savior Jesus, amen. Play ball.
Play ball? I don't think he's been to a NASCAR race before.
Anthem. Please welcome Billy and Bobby from the Brothers Moore.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the pale o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Alrighty. Play ball! I just felt like saying that. I'm going to have that stuck in my head the rest of the day. It kind of reminds me, if anybody's ever watched the Griswold Family Christmas episode when his when his mom was his mom's like 80 years old in the movie. And I can't remember if it's his mom or his grandma. It might be his grandma. But whoever, his mom or his grandma, 80 years old in the movie. And they asked her to say grace before the Christmas dinner, and she stood up and started doing the what was it? The oh shoot, she wasn't singing the national anthem. It was my God, I'm having a brain fart right now. Jesus, it wasn't the national anthem. You guys got to help me in the chat. This is bad. Hopefully somebody knows what I'm talking about. Want to toss out the first pitch. Bunch of baseball puns in the chat. Dale, thanks for tuning in. Pledge of Allegiance, thank you. Oh my gosh. Yeah, she was stating the Pledge of Allegiance instead of saying grace. And then at the end she said play ball. So it reminds me of that when he said that following the invocation for today's race. Oh jeez. Aunt Bethany. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. Aunt Bethany. Not his grandma or his mom. I had that way wrong. I apologize. That's one thing to go off on a tangent. If you're going to do that, you better get the tangent right. I got it wrong, so I apologize. At least you guys knew what I was talking about. Some of you. Hopefully, the chat was able to paint the rest of the picture for you guys. Dark Crypto, welcome in. Larson's your pick? Yeah, Larson's my pick, hands down, to win today's race, too. This will be my third race predicted correctly if he wins. He finished second last week. I almost got number 3. And he was so close. I mean, it wasn't just a second place finish. It was leading with 3 laps to go unanimously until a caution came out for Almirola spinning. So hopefully we don't have a late yellow that costs him a shot to win this week. And we can end this thing on a long green flag run. I think Larson's going to be the guy to beat. Doran Davis, welcome into the stream also. Batter up. James Moore, welcome into the stream. Someone is betting you that Larson isn't getting a top 10 and 8 right. Hey, too bright, yeah. Yeah, Larson, I think to get a top 10, Vegas had him at like minus 850 or something. So, you couldn't make much money off of that. Like, that's how guaranteed he is to, at the very least, get a top 10 today. So to have him in your fantasy lineup is a no-brainer. Kenneth Clark, welcome into the stream. Let's go racing as well. Just over 70 people in the chat right now waiting for the drop of the green flag. In fact, we haven't quite gotten the command yet. You guys will get to listen into that once that takes place. And then we'll get into today's starting lineup following the command. What's that squeaky sound? Couldn't hear. Oh, yeah. Yeah. At least somebody was understanding my reference in the chat. There's a couple people. I just have a bunch of quotes from Christmas Vacation in my head now, because now I was thinking, like, say Grace, Grace, she died 10 years ago. However many years it was. The blessing! Frank Powers, welcome into the stream. Out in the bullpen. Getting warmed up. Might get a little warm inside the cars today with it being sunny, 75 degrees. I know the track temp during the Xfinity race yesterday was 93, and that was even with overcast skies. I would not doubt if today's track temps end up hitting over 100 once we get into the middle of the race, with this race local time starting just shy of 1 o'clock. I love the chat. Been having a bunch of baseball references ever since he said play ball for about the last... Oh, that was like 5-7 minutes ago already. We're talking everything baseball.
And now, race fans, here to say the most famous words in motorsports. Representing United Rentals, please welcome Stephanie Von Pine and DeMarco Knox.
Drivers, start your engines! Woo!
So on the in-car cam, Kyle Busch wearing glasses, driving behind the wheel of today's race, taking a page out of Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick's book, it appears. I just didn't realize Kyle Busch wore glasses. Not gonna lie. He's racing with them today. Might bring some new luck for the weekend. Ran yesterday's Xfinity race, finished 9th. Was running 3rd on the final lap when he and Chandler Smith got together up into the wall in turns 1 and 2, and Smith ended up falling back to 5th, and Kyle Busch ended up, as I just mentioned, back in 9th. Lucas, welcome into the stream. We'll go through today's starting lineup while Fox is on the commercial break right now. Your pole sitter for today's race and last week's runner-up at Las Vegas will be Kyle Larson, his first pole of the season. Denny Hamlin will be starting on the outside of the front row. He is a former Phoenix winner, won the fall race back in 2019. William Byron and Brad Keselowski will line up in row number 2. Heavy underdog is Keselowski coming into today's race. I think he is a good pick to potentially compete for the win. Christopher Bell and Ross Chastain, and of course Byron won last week's race at Las Vegas. Christopher Bell and Ross Chastain will be in row 3. Chastain 2 top 3s in both Phoenix races last season. Bell in the Championship 4 last year had a top 10 finish in the fall as well. Michael McDowell, Tucson, Arizona native, on the inside of row number 4, and Ryan Blaney to his outside is number 1, but finished runner-up in the fall race last season at Phoenix. Kyle Busch and Eric Jones will line up in row number 5. Busch won at Auto Club 2 weeks ago for his first win. Daniel Suarez and Tyler Reddick will be in row 6. Reddick still searching for his first top 10 of the season, while Suarez has finished in the top 10 in the first 3 races of the 2023 season. Martin Truex Jr., winner of the Clash, will be in the inside of row 7. Rookie Ty Gibbs to his outside. Most winningest driver in Phoenix history with 9 wins, Kevin Harvick, will be on the inside of row 8. Joey Logano on his outside. Logano won the spring race right here back in 2020. Josh Berry and Alex Bowman will line up in row 8. Bowman looking for his first career top 10 at Phoenix since subbing for Dale Jr. back in 2016. And Berry filling in for the injured Chase Elliott for the second consecutive week. Bubba Wallace and Austin Cindric will be back in row number 10. Wallace has failed to finish inside the top 10 in all 4 of his starts with 2311 racing at Phoenix in a Toyota. We'll see if he can break that curse today. Chris Buescher and AJ Allmendinger will be back in row number 11. Buescher had a top 10 here in the spring race last season. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Daytona 500 winner, on the inside of row number 12 with Chase Briscoe, last year's spring Phoenix winner, to his outside. Ryan Preece and Justin Haley will line up in row number 13 for today's race. Row 14 will be Harrison Burton and Corey LaJoie. LaJoie has finished in the top 20 in the first 3 races this year for Spire Motorsports. Todd Gillen and Austin Dillon starting deeper in the field back in row 15. Gillen will be in the 15 car for Rick Ware Racing today. Eric Almirola and Noah Gragson will line up in row number 16. BJ McLeod and Zane Smith in row 17. Zane Smith filling in that 38 car for Gillen this weekend on a part-time basis. He'll be running 6 races this year for Front Row Motorsports. And then Ty Dillon and Cody Ware will bring up the rear of the field as they will start back in the final row, row 18 for today's race. Cars are on the track. They're going to dial up Kyle Larson. Actually, there was a pre-race interview with Larson, so here you go.
Get long, but what do you need out of this race car to be there at the end?
We'll find out here probably 30 laps or so. I think you'll get an idea how your car is on the long run. It's much hotter today, so I'm sure it'll be quite a bit different than Friday, but all in all, our HinderCars.com Chevy's been fast, so I know it's got speed. Just we'll see how the handling is on a very long run, but it's a tough race. These cup races are hard to win, so we'll see if we can get it done.
Kyle Larson rolling off on pole. Mike?
Boy, he found out last week how hard they were to win. He had a win in hand, and a late caution gave William Byron the opportunity, and he seized it. Kevin Harvick, 9 victories here in the Arizona desert, and an incredible string of top 10 finishes unequaled in the history of NASCAR. Harvick last year broke a tie for consecutive top 10s at one track with 2 of NASCAR's all-time champs and Hall of Famers, Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt. Danica.
Let's dial up Kevin. Hey Kevin, this is Mike, Clint, and Danica up in the booth. You got me?
I got you.
Great. Well, I gotta say, it's your last season. I'm excited to see how these last couple times at Phoenix goes. You are the GOAT here. Since it's your last season, do you want to maybe let us in on a little secret how that's happened?
Fast cars. I always tell people you can't drive a slow car fast. So if you really look, it's been a racetrack that I've raced at since the mid-90s. Been through a little configuration change, but short tracks have always been an emphasis, and our teams have always done a good job at knowing how much I care about this place. And so it's just been a great place to race. We have a great fan base here, and I've always enjoyed being able to be successful here. So hopefully today is no different, and we can continue that trend in our Hunt Brothers Ford Mustang.
I have no doubt that you will. All right, where do you think that the most important element of the race is going to be? Where's it going to be won and lost today?
I think you're going to have a good handling car, but you're going to have to move around the racetrack and find something that works for your car. And I think you're going to have to be pretty disciplined to not make mistakes and take advantage of being in position to take advantage of other people's mistakes when they miss their marks and make up position.
All right, well, you're really good at that, so good luck today.
Thank you.
That was Kevin Harvick getting dialed in there from the Fox booth as you saw moments ago. Aaron, thanks for tuning in to the stream. Appreciate that comment, by the way. You appreciate my commentating skills. It wasn't perfect going through the starting lineup that time. It wasn't the worst. If you guys tuned in for the ARCA race commentary for Daytona, that was by far the worst pre-race starting lineup grid walkthrough that I think I've ever gone through. I couldn't pronounce like 5 or 6 of the drivers' names because I'd never heard of them before and they were ridiculously long. I did not prep myself well enough for the start of that race that Saturday afternoon. But for today's race, with the familiar crowd, of course, in the NASCAR Cup Series, it's a lot easier to get that dialed in. Got live commentary streams every weekend for the Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series. Next weekend at Atlanta Motor Speedway, the Truck and Xfinity will both race on Saturday afternoon, so we'll have a doubleheader live stream there. Truck race will be at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the Xfinity Series race at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the Cup race next week, our coverage will begin at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Atlanta when the race starts just after 3 o'clock.
Mine throughout the garage this weekend is one of the best cars, but the team told me they are hopeful they have a race-winning car, but they don't feel like they have that raw speed that they did last year, so they have to compromise. They freed that car up. He's not going to be very comfortable. They said that is the only way to be fast in this race today, but keep in mind he finished here second in the fall. They're hopeful they'll get one spot better and get to victory lane today. Regan Smith?
Jamie, what a difference a year has made for Brad Keselowski in the 6th race car. A year ago, struggles to even run inside the top 20, but this year, top 10 speed in every race that we have been to. Brad told me that progress is something he is very proud of, but they want to continue to see that. Today, with the expected tire fall off and slower speeds, the team feels like that will be a huge asset to them, and the fact that Brad is very good at managing those tires. Larry Mack?
Yeah, Regan, these crew chiefs today, they're going to feel like they're playing a chess match with strategy. The way these cars are going to be sliding around, their driver will want 4 fresh tires every time, but you only have 9 sets. Now, the fuel window is about 90 to 94 laps, but it's more about the tire window. That first stage, 60 laps, it takes care of itself. But stage 2, 125, stage 3, 127, I say split them in half, but if somebody comes, Mike, you better not be far behind because fresh tires will be king.
Thanks, Larry.
So you heard right there, Stage 1, only 60 laps today, while the second 2 stages will be fairly equal in length, just 2 laps apart from each other, with Stage 2, 125 laps, Stage 3, 127. Pit road speed, 45 miles per hour, and the fuel window, 90 to 94 laps. They'll be going green this time by. Looking for a wild race for today. We're about to have a wild start, as we usually see at Phoenix ever since its reconfiguration back in the early 2010s. Drivers will cut the dog leg all the way down to the inside retaining wall to try and make passes. We'll be seeing 3 and 4 wide all day long on these restarts, funneling into turns 1 and 2.
Back it up right here. It's a big deal. 8 months from now, it's going to be bigger. Treat it the same today. Let's go. I want to win.
That was team communications with Denny Hamlin. Field entering into the Geico restart zone. The inside lane has been elected by pole sitter Kyle Larson. He'll get the launch, and the green flag is in the air. We're racing at Phoenix for race number 4, the NASCAR Cup Series season in 2023. And Larson easily clear of Denny Hamlin, who did not take off well on the start. Byron will slide in front of the 11 car to second, while they're 4 wide further back, just outside the top 10. One car way down on the bottom of the racetrack losing grip is Kevin Harvick in the 4. Almost slides into Joey Logano. Now going to get a push from behind, I believe, from Bubba Wallace as they go towards the middle lane into turns 3 and 4. Mostly side by side further back in the pack. Larson leads lap 1, but Byron got a great run off the exit of turn 4 on Larson. Dive bombs to the inside and looking to take the race lead away on lap 2. As he slides up the racetrack, pinches Kyle Larson off. Larson loses the nose of his car almost into the outside wall, and Byron's clear off turn 2 on lap 2 and looking to lead his first lap of the day. Denny Hamlin passed by his teammate Christopher Bell in turns 1 and 2, looking to get back after him to the inside for third place in 3 and 4. Byron will lead lap 2 after Larson led the opening lap of the race. Still side by side for third is Hamlin and Bell. Hamlin on the bottom, Bell on the outside as they go into turns 1 and 2. Keselowski in fifth, right on the bottom behind the 11 car of Hamlin. Had his left side tires down below the yellow line, slides up, almost making contact with Bell off the exit of turn 4, but he's clear, and Bell will try the crossover into 3 and 4 just as Hamlin did on him. Hamlin closes the door back down to the bottom of the track. Keselowski gets the run on the 20, who got tight in the dirty air, almost pinched into the wall off 4. Keselowski clear for 4th, and Chastain now putting the 20 under duress into 1 and 2 for 5th. Half a second lead for William Byron over Kyle Larson 4 laps into the race. Denny Hamlin in third. Brett Keselowski fourth. Ross Chastain has cleared Christopher Bell for 5th place. Oh, no, not quite. Never mind. Still side by side is the 1 and the 20. Chastain still underneath. Couple Ford side by side behind them of Ryan Blaney and Michael McDowell. Reddick going to the apron. He'll take it 3 wide into turn 1 under the 12 and the 34. Blaney fights through the middle. Little slide job to clear the 34 of McDowell. Tyler Reddick will get underneath the 34 car as well. Can't keep up with the 12 of Ryan Blaney quite yet. Bell and Chastain have been side by side for almost 3 consecutive laps now for 5th place. It's allowing Keselowski in 4th to quickly pull away from him. Larson fastest in practice yesterday and had the fastest 5, 10, 15, 20. 25 and 30 lap averages in that practice session, so look out for him on the long run speed. But Byron getting the better launch off the start. By half a car length, he was underneath Larson at the end of lap 1 and has led every lap since. Bell finally held clear of Chastain off turn 4. Chastain had to lift a little extra in the center of the corner, and Ryan Blaney was able to gather himself up, gas it up a lot quicker, get to the inside of Chastain, and now they're side by side for 6th. Blaney has 3 straight top 4 finishes at Phoenix, including a runner-up in the fall race last season behind his teammate and eventual champion Joey Logano. 6/10 of a second lead right now for William Byron over Kyle Larson. That last lap, they were pretty equal on lap times and were equal through most of the race last weekend, despite the fact that Byron led over 150 laps in that race. Larson led over 60 laps on his own right in the final stage after his crew had won him the race off pit road. Then he was able to get past Hamlin, who had stayed out on older tires on a mid-stage restart, and was able to really pull away from that point on when he had the clean air, only for Byron to steal the win on the last restart in overtime. McDowell falling back after qualifying in the 7th place position. Daniel Suarez to his inside after Reddick cleared for 8th. This is a battle for 9th on the track between the 99 and 34. They got in a fight here in 2020 in qualifying. Back in the session qualifying era of NASCAR, Daniel Suarez is going to clear Michael McDowell. No fight there. Clean pass. And Ty Gibbs in the 54 won the Xfinity Series championship at this track a year ago. Looking to pass Michael McDowell for 10th. Good start to this race for Ty Gibbs on the move in the early going. McDowell, meanwhile, back to the inside of Daniel Suarez. Gibbs going to race smart. He'll let the 2 go in front of him, not keep it down on the bottom 3 wide into the corner. This will allow him to get a much better corner exit than the 34 of Michael McDowell, who was pinched by the 99 who was outside yet. Suarez able to clear him. Showing a replay back in traffic in a battle between Joey Logano and Martin Truex Jr. Both of those cars made contact in turns 1 and 2 a couple laps ago. And Truex did a great job hanging on to his car. Both of them kept it off the wall, but definite contact was made. Now there's more contact in the left rear corner panel of Truex's car as Bubba Wallace is trying to get around him in turns 3 and 4. I think he was trying to side draft him on the backstretch and accidentally got into him. A little too aggressive there from Wallace. They battle for 17th on the track. Logano fell back to 20th after the contact with the 19 a couple laps before. And now Wallace almost making contact again with Truex. Truex is getting beaten around by the 22 and the 23 here over recent laps. Again, only 60 laps here at stage 1, so those drivers that did not qualify as well And with the fast Hendrick cars at the front of the field pulling away at Byron and Larson in the early going of this race, it'll be interesting to see exactly how this thing is going to play out in this first stage. Who is all going to go a lap down before the end of this opening stage. We will not have pit stops in stage 1 with the window being 90 to 94 laps for fuel. Fox going to their first commercial break of the race, lap number 15 so far. William Byron has a 1.2 second lead over Kyle Larson, who is in second. Denny Hamlin is in third, 3 seconds off the race lead. Brad Keselowski in fourth, 4.2 back. Christopher Bell is fifth, 4.5 back. Ryan Blaney in sixth place, he's 5.3 seconds back. Tyler Reddick in seventh place, 7.2 seconds off the lead. Ross Chastain in eighth, 8 seconds back. Daniel Suarez is in ninth, 8.2 seconds off the lead, and 8.8 seconds off the lead is Ty Gibbs in 10th right now. Again, Larson led lap 1, and Byron's led every lap since. But those top 2 Hendrick cars, though, are already pulling away from the rest of the field, because even Larson in second has a little over a 2-second gap on Denny Hamlin in third place behind him. And Byron quickly picking up where he left off, trying to dominate potentially 2 races in a row, as he is pulling away from Larson simultaneously as Larson pulls away from the rest of the field behind him. It does look like Keselowski is slowly reeling in Denny Hamlin for third, though, as he is only 1 second behind him for position. Bell not too far behind the 6 car as well. Lap time-wise, that last lap, William Byron ran a 28.727, and I think the next fastest car on track was Larson in second with a 29.024. That last lap, Byron was 0.3 of a second quicker than Kyle Larson. And he was the only driver to run in the 28-second lap barrier, and he had a 28.7. That's how fast Byron is right now. But can he keep that pace up over the course of the long run in these first 60 laps, knowing we're not going to get a pit stop, and is Larson maybe managing his tires a little bit better than Byron while that goes on? Rowdy Fan 8, thanks for tuning into the stream. Kyle Lance, Patrick Shadley, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as well. We have live race commentary streams every race weekend for NASCAR. Unless it's a race I'm going to in person. I haven't been to a race yet this year. We'll be having coverage of all 3 races at Atlanta next week on the newly revamped Super Speedway, with the Truck and Xfinity races set on Saturday and the Cup race next Sunday. All afternoon races there. Fox coming back from a commercial break right now. Still a 1.8 second lead for William Byron over Kyle Larson. Our spotlight drivers coming into this race and where they're running in the early going of stage 1. Our sleeper/underdog picks. Brad Keselowski in 4th in the early going. William Byron picking up where he left off in the race lead and in the winning position, I should say, right now, with leading this race. And then the other driver was Chase Briscoe. He qualified a lot deeper in the field. He's up 4 spots from where he started to 20th. 3 don't have picks that I had predicted to not get a top 10 finish at the end of the day. Martin Truex Jr. struggling, getting beaten around early. He is back at 18th. Bubba Wallace just ahead of him in 17th, and Alex Bowman in 16th. All right around where they qualified as well. I think they qualified 16th through 18th as well. They've just changed the order amongst themselves a little bit. And the must-have drivers in my win pick, Kyle Larson in 2nd place, as well as Ross Chastain still in the top 10 at 8th. Kevin Harvick just outside the top 10 in 13th as he has fallen back just a bit. He was on the bottom 4 wide on that initial start of the race, had to lift to make it off the exit of turn 2. I think he lost a handful of positions as a result of that, so that's why he fell back to 13th already. Just hasn't been able to work himself back forward, but hasn't lost any more positions since. Michael McDowell, after qualifying 7th, has fallen outside the top 10 already, back to 11th place. And I think he and Harvick are the biggest losers of those that qualified in the top 10. 2.1 second lead now for Byron over Larson. Continuing to run 28-second lap times. And about 0.2 a second a lap at least quicker than Larson pretty much any lap since he has taken the race lead. Yeah, track temp is up to 107 degrees. Yesterday for the Xfinity race, as I mentioned earlier, it was 93 degrees, so it is up quite substantially with the sun out today versus the overcast skies yesterday, despite the actual air temp only being 1 degree warmer than what it was yesterday.
On Friday, they had a particular plan to run 30-lap runs to see where that car would go, but he told me from lap 30 to lap 60, which is where we're getting to right now, he had no clue that was going to be a big key to this race, what they needed to adjust at that moment. Jamie?
Kyle Busch right now running 11. This team has had their hands full since they unloaded. They weren't happy with the car in practice. Randall Burnett told me they threw everything at it, changed the toe, the shocks, wedge, all 4 springs, everything they could do, and they had a big gain for qualifying. He started 9th, but today so far, no lateral grip and tight through the middle, so they've got some adjustments coming up for the first stop, Mike.
Thanks, Jamie. So Larry Mack seeing the tire fall off now at 1 second a lap or higher. How do you feel about trying to make that one set of tires you started on go 60 laps to end this stage?
Yeah, and you know, Mike, looking back at Friday's practice, and I probably talked to a dozen crew chiefs last night. Yeah, the fall off was a concern, but tire wear was more of a concern. But I think their hopes were with the Xfinity Series race yesterday and the ARCA race on Friday night, there's enough rubber laid down that as far as wear, they can make it. But I'm still going to monitor how much fall off we have, because if somebody's going to split this stage in half, we're only about 4 or 5 laps away from that mark.
All right, thanks. Byron now 2.7 up on Larson, who's seen a little more fall off than William has.
It's a really good point, and listen to Larry, you know, if anybody's going to split this stage, it's going to have to be pretty soon. Now, who would that be? There's some of these guys back here in the back. You know, I'm watching Austin Dillon in the 3. He is slipping and sliding around. That car is evil underneath of him, and you don't have to look too far back, and the leader's coming. So some of those guys got a decision to make pretty quick.
Usually what you see in this first stint is that who pits early needs it, right? This is going to be an indicator of, I think, who's the most unhappy with their car or who's in traffic. That can be another element, but the ones that pit the latest are usually the ones that are the most happy. I'm watching this battle back here with Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch and McDowell, and nobody's getting away from each other. It's very interesting. It'll be important what they do on this pit stop.
So 28 laps complete now with the field all single file. Good time for us to take a break so we can come back for a pit stop.
Well, there you go. Pit stop's not necessarily guaranteed to the end of this stage. I will put that out there, but it is a possibility that we could see drivers do that. The problem with that is this is only a 1-mile racetrack, and it has a very long pit road. So if you're already on the verge of going 1 lap down, you decide to short pit trying to get that lap back, well, you're going to end up losing another lap on top of that, so you're probably going to be 2 laps down when you cycle off a pit road, and making up 2 laps before the end of the stage, I just don't think is going to be likely, and the likelihood of you going only 1 lap down versus 2 by staying out of the pits is more likely, I think, than you getting both laps back with pitting and using a set of tires up. So I personally don't think we're going to see anybody hit pit road. If we do see anybody hit pit road, it's probably going to be just a couple drivers maybe at the most, so I'm not expecting a huge wave of green flag pit stops by any means in this first stage, and that's just me personally. I know Larry McReynolds used to be a crew chief in NASCAR. I think they're just kind of doing that to try to maybe amp up the potential possibility of that happening, trying to keep you staying tuned. But I'm just going to shoot you straight. I just don't see it happening personally. We'll keep an eye on it here on this live race leaderboard while we're under the commercial break. The only cars to go lap down so far are Cody Ware and BJ McLeod at the rear of the field. Again, your top 10 right now. William Byron is in the lead. Kyle Larson in second. Denny Hamlin third. Christopher Bell fourth. Ryan Blaney fifth. Brad Keselowski in sixth place. Tyler Reddick seventh. Ross Chastain eighth. Kevin Harvick ninth. And Daniel Suarez rounds out the top 10. 11th place is Kyle Busch. Ty Gibbs is in 12th. Michael McDowell 13th. Chris Buescher 14th. Eric Jones is 15th. Alex Bowman 16th. Bubba Wallace 17th. 18th is Martin Truex Jr. AJ Allmendinger in 19th. And Joey Logano is 20th. Chase Briscoe 21st. Josh Berry 22nd. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 23rd. Ryan Preece 24th. Eric Almirola 25th. Austin Cindric 26th. Noah Gragson 27th. Justin Haley 28th. Harrison Burton 29th. Corey LaJoie is 30th. 31st is Zane Smith. Austin Dillon 32nd. 33rd place is Ty Dillon. Ty Gillen is the last car on the lead lap in 34th. Cody Ware a lap down in 35th, and BJ McLeod a lap down in last in 36th. And we have about 24 laps to go yet in Stage 1. A 3.1 second lead for William Byron over Kyle Larson currently. Larson's led all but the opening lap of the race already at 35 laps led in the early going to this one, after leading over 150 en route to his win of both stages and the race last weekend. Trying to pick up where he left off, get that third stage win of the year already. That would give him 8 playoff points in these first not even completed 4 races. Hot start right now for William Byron out in a couple of tracks in the desert recent weeks. Good West Coast swing for him. I'm sure he's not complaining whatsoever. And really, Hendrick Motorsports as a whole, to consider they finished 1, 2, 3 last week and they're running first and second again this week. Last lap, Kyle Larson was about 0.2 quicker, and then actually this lap, the last lap, he was 0.2 quicker and was also 0.2 of a second quicker the lap before. So that fast start that William Byron was off to, maybe he's not pacing his tires out quite as well. Remember, he was running 28.7s when Larson was running 29.0s or 29.1s. Larson's still running 29.1s, while Byron, the last couple laps, have ran 29.3s. And that last lap, again, Byron about 1/10 slower than Larson. Larson paces this much, he may catch William Byron before the end of the stage, with as many laps as we still have to go in the stage. Our goal, by the way, in this stream today is going to be 150 likes. So hit that like button if you haven't already. We have 47 on the stream so far.
All right, talked to William this morning, and he said the difference in this car here this time around is it's not as edgy with this new aero package. He said it's more in my hands. I'm more in control. I can slip and slide and feel comfortable that my car's not going to come around and snap loose like they found a lot of times in a lot of races last year. As for the car right now, Mike, he said, I don't have much to complain about. You know what? He said it last week, and where did he end up? In victory lane.
Absolutely. Now, we mentioned Kevin Harvick on the march. Also, Tyler Reddick is up from 12th to 6th. Larry Mack.
Yeah, he's up to 6th position. I've been watching what he's been doing. Remember, this is a 5-speed gearbox. Everybody's working between 4th and 5th gear. But what Tyler Reddick has been doing, when he catches somebody, I watched it when he caught Ross Chastain in that one, he uses 3rd gear. Now, if he was out there by himself, that would be slower, but he's almost used it as a passing gear.
Well, it's doing something right, I'm telling you. He was extremely fast here last year, 3rd in the spring race here. Got this 45 car rolling. Needs this race. Needs a good solid run here. Get this confidence and momentum going for him and his race team.
This is Ryan Blaney at work.
The downshift, moving up the racetrack, widening that thing out. That looks pretty tight in the center, and then watch how loose it is under the throttle up off the corner.
Yeah, but he has the wheel pretty straight. He gets it really rotated in the center. You can see he cuts down really straight. That's going to help so much with power down. That's smooth. That looks good.
It looks a little tight to me, and I think that's where that smooth is coming from. But hey, I'll tell you another thing. He's running 5th. Car is handling good.
So no one decided to split this stage in half. We've had no action on pit road. As you get a couple different views, including the driver's eye inside Kevin Harvick's helmet.
You see him running Chastain down, and he drove right to him. And I talked to Kevin before the race. He said catching him is one thing, getting around him is another. Very hard to make a pass with somebody, get in their wake, and it just slows you down. You're going to have to get out of that wake, go somewhere on this racetrack, find real estate where he's not running.
Well, we saw that before we went to our last break. It was McDowell and him duking it out for quite a few laps. I was watching it up here, wasn't mentioning anything about it, and then he got by and just pulled away. So, you know, as he said, it's another thing to get by the car. So they're going to have to move around, and it doesn't look like there's necessarily one predominant line that is so much faster as the tires go off. It's just a matter of probably the car making a mistake in front of you.
Harvick in ninth as you watch from the Hunt Brothers Pizza Cam.
Larson's cut that lead down to 2.2 seconds as Fox heads to another commercial break with 17 laps to go in stage 1. It is a side-by-side break, so we'll stay right here with you guys for right now. Top 5 currently, William Byron in the lead, again by 2.2 seconds over Kyle Larson in second. Denny Hamlin still in third place, 5.4 seconds off the lead. Christopher Bell in fourth, 5.8 seconds back. And Ryan Blaney rounds out the top 5 in fifth. He is 8.4 seconds. Make that 8.5 seconds now off the race lead as they cross the start-finish line that last time by. 29 cars on the lead lap. Currently, Corey LaJoie is the first car, 1 lap down as Byron has just passed him through turns 3 and 4 that last lap. Tough start to this race for Corey LaJoie after 3 straight top 20s in the first 3 races of the season. Notable drivers at the tail end of the lead lap right now that are trying to hang on. Justin Haley, who had a top 10 last weekend at Las Vegas. Rookie Noah Gragson, Austin Cindric back there as well. Could be in danger of going a lap down in the closing laps of the stage. A clean race so far after a caution-filled Xfinity Series race yesterday where there were 11 cautions in that 200-lap race. You mentioned them here over the broadcast at just over a second of fall off and roughly 30 laps of racing. It was about the same as what it was in the Xfinity Series race when we had a couple of runs at around that length under green flag conditions. And with stages 2 and 3 being over 120 laps in today's race, that's going to be very, very interesting to see when anybody hits pit road in those stages for potential green flag pit stops. If maybe even we see some drivers try a 2-stop strategy versus a 1 would be interesting. And Byron has started to grow that gap back out over Kyle Larson for the last couple of laps. He's pulled away a couple tenths of a second more. It was a 2.2 second lead about 3-4 laps ago. Now it's out to a 2.6 second lead, and I think a lot of that has to do with the lap traffic. And William Byron is starting to get through it a little bit better than what Kyle Larson is. Larson's still comfortably in second ahead of Denny Hamlin. Brad Keselowski's fallen back after getting to fourth on the start of the race. He is still in seventh. And Tyler Reddick has just passed Ryan Blaney on the racetrack for fifth. Reddick started in 12th place, now has cracked the top 5, still searching for his first top 10 of the season. Byron side by side with the 38 car of Zane Smith, trying to put him a lap down. 10 to go in stage 1 at the start-finish line. Justin Haley just a couple car lengths out in front of the 24 as well. Byron clears Zane Smith to lap him now off of turn 4. Ty Gibbs, Eric Jones battling side by side through turns 3 and 4 position. Jones going to clear Gibbs. Gibbs getting a good run off the high side. Pulls back to the back bumper of Eric Jones. Looks to the bottom into turns 1 and 2. Can't quite steer underneath him and hang on underneath him by the exit of the corner. Gibbs, who got into the top 10 just after the start of the race, is now fallen all the way outside the top 15. Justin Haley is now the first car lap down to the 31 as Byron has passed him this last lap. Noah Gragson now the last car in the lead lap just in front of the 24. I think one of the backmarker cars just lost another lap and went 2 laps down there a second ago that Byron passed. Oh, Stenhouse in the outside wall in turns 1 and 2 after battling with Ryan Preece for position. They're battling for 24th. There are just a couple cars in between them and William Byron on the lead lap. BJ McLeod very slow in turns 1 and 2, down on the apron of the racetrack trying to nurse his car into the pits. He'll be able to get there, so we continue to stay green. 7 laps to go in stage 1. That's a tough break for Stenhouse. Gregson has just passed Cindric for position now, so Cindric is the last car in the lead lap. Priest never got into Stenhouse, but Stenhouse definitely lost the rear of his car just a bit. Clapped the outside wall, and Priest drove on by. Byron picking him up and putting him down. It's like Gregson and Cindric have both gone a lap down now. Five laps to go, stage 1. Stenhouse has a mirror full of the 24 car of Byron. Turns 1 and 2. Stenhouse still on the outside. Byron with a lot better drive in the center, and he'll pull alongside of Stenhouse off the exit of the corner. Ross Chastain and Kevin Harvick have caught Brad Keselowski in a battle for 7th. Chastain to the inside of the 6th. The 4 going in the middle where there's the cleanest of air. Chastain going to clear the 6 car on the outside. Keselowski trying to pinch the 4 to try to get a better drive off, but Harvick will stay alongside of Brad K. And they'll remain side by side through turns 3 and 4. And remain side by side now on the front stretch. Joey Logano, the last car in the lead lap with less than 3.5 laps to go now as William Byron is on his inside. Logano all the way back in the 24th place position is going to go a lap down off the exit of turn 4. Byron has cleared the 22. Logano part ways down to the apron through the dog leg trying to do whatever he can to keep up, because if Byron laps another car, then Logano will get trapped a lap down at the end of stage 1. If Logano stays where he's at position-wise right now, then he'll get the free pass at the stage end. Ryan Preece is the last car in the lead lap. He's still about 2 to 3 car lengths ahead of Byron. 2 laps to go in the stage this time by. Stenhouse looking to the inside of Joey for the free pass position. Can't quite stay underneath him off turn 4. Good battle here for an important spot on the racetrack with just a couple to go in the first stage. Nobody made any scheduled green flag pit stops in stage 1 as I kind of predicted. They went to that mid-stage commercial break. I don't think Byron's going to have any intentions of lapping Ryan Preece. I think he's just going to patiently stay behind him. Larson's still 2 seconds off the race lead. 1 lap to go in stage 1 now. Stenhouse to the back bumper. The 22 got a little tight in the center of the corner, and Logano's able to accelerate. It looks like Stenhouse might be a little quicker than the 22 car, but he's just not able to make the pass on him. It'll be interesting if he tries to use the bumper if he gets close enough. Logano to the outside. Stenhouse down to the bottom in the clean air. Not a great drive off, though. He'll have to stay behind Joey, and now he's about 3 car lengths behind him getting into turns 3 and 4. So Joey Logano will get the free pass position. Looks like Gregson's actually going to get by Stenhouse for position there, but Logano will get the free pass. Stage 1 is over, and it'll be William Byron winning stage 1 at Phoenix, his 3rd stage win in the early going of the season. Kyle Larson will end up in 2nd place, 2 seconds back. Christopher Bell in 3rd after getting by Denny Hamlin late in the stage. Hamlin will finish 4th, and Tyler Reddick rounds out the top 5 in stage number 1. Ryan Blaney 6th, Ross Chastain 7th, Kevin Harvick 8th, Brad Keselowski 9th, and Kyle Busch will end up 10th in stage 1 today, all receiving stage points for the top 10. Fox had to do another commercial break here. We'll take our first break of the day. You're watching the United Rentals Work United 500 at the Phoenix International Raceway live on KRC. Asked you guys in a poll in the chat for who you think is going to win today's race. 88 votes have been casted so far through stage 1. 45% of those votes have Kyle Larson winning this race. Very close behind it, 41% of the votes going to other. William Byron at 5% of the votes, despite leading all but 1 lap so far today. And Denny Hamlin, who finished 4th at the end of stage 1, has 9% of the votes. Up to 90 votes now in that poll. We'll close that poll at the end of stage number 2. So you have another stage of racing yet to try to get these votes in. Kayla, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, Byron off to a strong start indeed. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so on the stream as well. Also subscribe, as mentioned before. I mentioned it a lot throughout the stream because I'll have to pull the analytics up. I don't know what they were like after yesterday's stream. Let me see here. I'm pretty sure like 60% of people that have watched the channel over the last month are not subscribed. So definitely subscribe if you haven't done so. Helps me continue to do these streams in the future. Helps the channel out a ton. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, over the last 28 days, so pretty much since the start of the NASCAR season this year, 63.5% of you guys that have watched the channel over the last 28 days are not subscribed. So, hit the subscribe button. I know not all of you guys watching this stream right now are subscribed. Hit the subscribe button. Only 36.5% of you guys are. So, would greatly appreciate it. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And helps the channel out a ton. We'll be hitting pit stops here. In a couple of seconds, you guys will get to listen into the pit reports. It'll be the first pit stops of the day during the Stage 1 break at Phoenix.
We'll highlight Byron's crew as our pit crew of the week, led by Rudy Fugel, Jeff Cordero, Ryan Patton, Oren Osawa.
I don't want to get copyrighted. I don't know what kind of music that is playing. I caught it quick enough. We're okay. It sounds like it's just kind of generic music. I don't think I get copyrighted, but just in case.
All
here
right,
you go.
Here they come to pit road. Jamie.
Well, Denny Hamlin, this 11-team man loaded very close so far in this race. Free in and tight through the middle, loose off. They said, what do you need to be faster? Tighten me up so I can get in the corner. 4 tires for the 11. The 24, William Byron, doesn't have much to complain about. Just told the team, I'm not one way or the other. I think I'm suffering less than everyone else. And yes, he is. 4 tires. Regan?
Maybe the 20 car, Christopher Bell, said he's pretty good with his race car. Main thing he wants is to maintain track position, and he wants to save his tires a little bit better on this next run. The 5 car of Kyle Larson said, I think I'm good. Williams just extremely good, meaning his teammate. No changes for him. He is loose the first couple laps, though.
With ease, it'll be actually Kyle Larson winning the race off pit road. Remember, has that number 1 pit box after qualifying on the pole yesterday. That pays dividends for him here. He'll be the control car in the restart. William Byron lost that spot. Kyle Busch's pit crew gains him 5 spots on pit road. Biggest loser in the pits, Ryan Blaney, losing 3 spots from the top 10. Tyler Reddick also, who finished 5th at the end of the stage, lost 7 spots on pit road. He's back in 12th now. So the biggest losers in the pits were Ryan Blaney losing 3 spots, Tyler Reddick losing 7, and then Kyle Busch, the biggest gainer on pit road, gaining 5 spots, with Kyle Larson, of course, gaining that one important spot to barely win the race off pit road by a nose over William Byron. But having that number 1 pit box definitely helped him there. You'd have to imagine, plus, of course, a fast stop on top of it. Jim Troyer, thanks for tuning in. How do they find me otherwise? What do you mean? Like on YouTube? They probably just like search like live commentary of the race or something and then they watch the stream. They just don't subscribe. I appreciate everybody watching. Trust me, that helps me out a ton, but so does hitting the subscribe button, so I'd really appreciate it. Now, I did not give a diecast showing at all during the Xfinity race yesterday. I apologize for that. I'm trying to make that a consistent thing during these live commentary streams. So I have 2 diecasts for you guys today. One at the end of Stage 2 like normal, and one now at the end of Stage 1. I'll start off with this 2016 Carl Edwards Stanley diecast. I want to show this one off today because if you remember the Spring Phoenix race from 2016, you would remember that Carl Edwards, with this same paint scheme, finished second by a nose to Kevin Harvick that day. It was one of 9 wins for Kevin Harvick at the racetrack. Really like the Stanley paint scheme. Honestly, I think Stanley has some underrated paint schemes. Christopher Bell right now, obviously they've kind of had a similar paint scheme over. Basically, when Bell runs the Stanley scheme, it looks just like this. But needless to say, I really like the scheme. I think anybody who is a fan of Matt Kenseth with the DeWalt schemes would really like this kind of paint scheme as well. I really like it. I always have been a fan of the yellow or blue cars or the black and yellow cars. I think black and yellow really pops well on not only race cars, but even like jerseys with some sports like the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm a Red Wings fan. You would think I'd hate the Penguins, which I don't really hate a lot of things. But needless to say, I think their jerseys look pretty cool. They're my favorite. So I think black and yellow is a really good color combination. And figured I'd show this one up because it's got some sort of Phoenix remembrance to it. And this is one of only... Actually, this is the only Carl Edwards diecast I own. I don't have any number 99 cars for Edwards yet. I'd like to get his Aflac car from late 2000s, early 2010s. Office Depot scheme was pretty nice too, but I can't find ones that I like. But I really like this Stanley car. By the way, Marcus Ambrose had some good Stanley cars back in the early 2000s with RPM as well, number 9. Hingo Robin Dunn, thanks for tuning into the stream also. Just over 100 people watching right now. Kyle Larson elects the inside lane for the restart just as he did the initial start. Byron has led all but one green flag lap today, and that was the opening lap of the race. Larson won the race off pit road here. Byron was second, so just as they finished, they're still 1-2. Both RFK cars now in the top 10. Chris Buescher gained a couple spots on pit road. He'll be on the outside of row 5 for the restart. Keselowski is teammate and team owner right in front of him. 10.4 second stop for Kyle Larson. And a 10.8 second stop for William Byron. 0.4 of a second was the difference in Larson winning the race off pit road. Getting ready for the restart. Fans on their feet. Stage 2 underway. Green flag. Larson slides up the racetrack a little bit on the restart. That may give a run for Bell down to the bottom. Doesn't go as low as Larson, though, to try to protect. Kyle Busch in the 8 got a much bigger run on the 20 of Bell. He'll take it 3 wide for a brief moment, but can't hold that deep of a corner entry down on the inside, so he'll have to hold on in 5th place while they're 3 and pretty much 4 wide just behind him. Almost some contact made. Busch worked himself back up in line. Kyle Larson off the exit of turn 4, not clear of Byron yet. Looking for that clean air advantage that Byron was able to use to take and pull away. It'll be interesting if Larson could do the same, if he could clear the 24, and he does. But as he slides up clear in 1 and 2, Byron going for the crossover to the bottom. And he almost got underneath him, but not quite. Hamlin passes Bell on the outside. Meanwhile, for 3rd, Chastain now underneath the 20. For that 4th place position, they'll be side by side through 3 and 4. Bell will hold on, and he will be able to hold clear of Chastain. Maybe Chastain hanging on that left rear corner panel, trying to side draft him as much as possible. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch have been side by side for 2 whole laps now. Harvick still on the inside of Busch as they battle for 7th place. Keselowski jumped up to 6th on the restart. Harvick finally clears Busch for 7th. Ryan Blaney fell back on that restart all the way to 11th. Chastain and Bell were side by side for about 3 whole laps on the start of the race back in stage 1. They've been side by side for about a full lap and a half already. This time for the same spot for 4th as they nearly lean on each other in the dogleg that time before diving it off into turns 1 and 2.
One of the only ones that's really been able to pass. Yay. What's that? Yay. Oh, you're having fun. Are we having fun? Right now, yeah. Yeah, right now we are. Have more fun once you get to the lead.
It's Kyle Busch's radio.
For 4th, won't quit. Bell on the high side, Chastain on the bottom. Jamie.
And just a little bit more on the 8 of Kyle Busch. He said he wants that right rear planted, so they freed him up a little bit with air pressure and a wedge adjustment. Pit crew got it done there as well. Gained 5 spots.
Wow. That's the easiest way to do it.
Contact made between Bell and Chastain off the exit of turn 2, slowing the 1 car down. Keselowski now gets to the outside of the 1 as the 20 pulls clear by about 2 car lengths into turn 3. Larson continues to lead, has pulled out to a half a second advantage over Byron, similar to what Byron was able to do on Larson when he got to the lead off the initial start of the race. Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain, still side by side. Ross is putting up a heck of a battle on the inside. He just can't clear any cars down there. Keselowski fighting hard on the outside, knowing how much track position matters at a racetrack like Phoenix. Trying to carry the momentum off the exit of turn 4. Kyle Busch a little further back, a lot higher on the outside in the PJ1 in turns 3 and 4 than anybody else inside the top 10. Lost a spot to Tyler Reddick going up that far, though, and Reddick moves to 8th. Seven-tenths of a second lead now as Larson was about a tenth and a half quicker than Byron that last lap. Tyler Reddick is battling Kevin Harvick for 7th on the track. Had a good run off turn 4. And now side-by-side between Kyle Busch and Ryan Blaney for 9th. It's the only side-by-side battle in the top 10 on lap 76 of 312. And Blaney will quickly clear Kyle Busch in that Cheddar's car from the inside lane off the exit of turn 2. So Busch, after getting up to 5th on that restart after gaining 4 spots on pit road, has slid right back into the back half of the top 10 where he finished in 10th place at the end of stage 1. Almost got into the wall off turn 4, maybe looked a little tight that time. And Chris Buescher going to battle him for the 10th place spot. Alex Bowman up to a race high 12th place position behind him. He's one of 3 don't have picks for today's race that I predicted not to have a top 10 finish. Him, Bubba Wallace, and Mark Truex Jr., they're all still outside the top 10 and have not yet ran a lap in the top 10. Mentioned Bowman is in 12th, Bubba Wallace is in 15th, and Mark Truex Jr. still in 19th place. 3 must-have picks coming into the race this weekend. You could probably almost consider 4 because Byron could pretty much be grouped into there as well. I had him as a sleeper just because he has a couple career wins, but despite the... he would probably be considered more of a sleeper pick if he didn't dominate last week's race and start to dominate this week's race, but... So Byron, Larson running 1-2. Larson was my pick to win today's race. He is still in 1st. Ross Chastain, another one of those must-have picks. He's in the top 5 up to 5th place right now. And then Kevin Harvick in his 7th after starting the first stage a little bit outside the top 10. So kind of 4 for 4 there so far. And then the 2 sleeper picks of Chase Briscoe, Brad Keselowski. Keselowski at 6, having a good start to the day. He's been top 10 all day after qualifying 4th. And then Chase Briscoe at 17th currently. Fox on a full screen commercial break right now. We'll stay right here. Your full field running order looks like this. Kyle Larson has a 1-second lead over William Byron in 2nd place. Denny Hamlin is in 3rd. Christopher Bell in 4th. Ross Chastain in 5th. Brad Keselowski 6th. Kevin Harvick 7th. Tyler Reddick in 8th. Ryan Blaney 9th. And Kyle Busch is 10th. Chris Buescher in 11th place. Alex Bowman 12th. Daniel Suarez 13th. Michael McDowell 14th. Bubba Wallace 15th. Eric Jones in 16th, Chase Briscoe 17th, Ty Gibbs is 18th, Mark Truex Jr. 19th, Josh Berry is 20th, Eric Almirola in 21st, Ryan Preece 22nd, Joey Logano 23rd, and AJ Allmendinger last car in the lead lap in 24th. Austin Cindric first car lap down in 25th, Justin Haley 26th, Austin Dillon 27th, Corey LaJoie 28th, Noah Gragson 29th, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is 30th. Zane Smith 31st, Ty Dillon 32nd, 33rd is Harrison Burton, 34th place is Todd Gilliland, Cody Ware 35th, and BJ McLeod had a mechanical issue, is out of the race, and 36th. He's the only driver out of the race so far of the 36 that started. Mark Kearns, Villanor, welcome into the stream as well recently. Thanks for everybody tuning in here on this Sunday afternoon, our 4th NASCAR Cup race of the season. Be sure to hit the like button on the stream and also subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Our goal is 150 likes on today's stream, and currently we are at 71, so almost halfway there. We are still shy of lap 100, so not even a third of the way through this race so far today. Put a poll up in the chat that will close at the end of Stage 2 for a prediction of who you think will win. 113 votes casted so far. Kyle Larson still leads the voting poll at 44%. Other just behind at 42%. Very close poll right now. Denny Hamlin at 8%. And William Byron, who has led the most laps so far today and won Stage 1, currently second, only has 6% of the votes. Very shocked at that. But a very close poll nonetheless. Again, you guys have till the end of Stage 2 to vote on that poll before it closes, and then you also have till the end of Stage 2 to set your fantasy lineups for the start of today's race as well. Byron and Larson running pretty equal lap times right now, and I'm sure the 5 car could have made some adjustments, but I think that clean air is definitely helping them out quite a bit as well, as they have yet to catch lap traffic in Stage 2. Remember, the second stage is 125 laps versus the first stage is 60 laps, so just over twice the race length in Stage 2 versus Stage 1. We will definitely see pit stops at some point in time, and it'll be interesting to see who pits when, because that pit road will open after about 30 laps of green flag racing into this stage to make it on field to the end, and there has been about a second of tire fall off after about a 25 to 30 lap stretch, so it'll be interesting if somebody tries to take that gamble early. I would imagine most of the field will probably split the stage in half, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see some guys at the back half of the field, specifically cars that are at the tail end of the lead lap, maybe try something different like that. Guarantee at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the viewership numbers will drop. What's going on at 6? This race may get over by 6. You never know. I mean, we haven't had a caution for incident yet today. We went caution free through Stage 1 and Stage 2 at Las Vegas last week to have a couple cautions in the final stage. We ended up with 4 total. 2 cautions for incident in Stage 3, and then we also had 2 stage breaks last week. And that race timed in at what, like 2 hours and 50 minutes? I know it was less than 3 hours. It was a quick race. So maybe we see something like that again this week with the clean start. So if it gets done in about that 2.5 to 2 hour 50 minute mark, it'll be done before 6 anyway. Terry Lewis, also welcome into the stream. Ever going to get a Kimi Diecast 91? No, I don't plan on it. Maybe if it's a cool paint scheme. I need to get a Target paint scheme. The Target cars were always good looking. I don't care who is driving it, whether it's Casey Mears, Reed Sorensen, Kyle Larson, Juan Pablo Montoya. I always like the Target cars. Haviland cars, too. Davey Allison, Casey Mears. Those are some good. Chip Ganassi had some great paint schemes, because then you look at the Silver Bullet with Sterling Marlin, too. Shout out to Chip Ganassi Racing for always having some awesome paint schemes. Even the Bass Pro Shop scheme that Jamie McMurray won with the 2010 in the 500. That's probably one of my favorite Bass Pro Shop paint schemes. Good looking car, too. Had some good McDonald's schemes in the past. Still 1 second lead for Larson over Byron. Next closest car behind Byron is Bell in third. He is 4.5 seconds off the lead and a full 3.5 seconds behind the 24. It is another Hendrick Motorsport dominant start to the day. Maybe some slight contact in a battle for position between Kevin Harvick and Tyler Reddick. Reddick did not have a lot of room to keep it off of the wall, and Harvick on the outside there moments ago. Harvick is going to slide clear of Reddick now for 7th place in turns 1 and 2. Keselowski just in front of them, still hanging on to 6th. Good start to the day for Brad. I feel good with my bets I made today. Because so far, it's looking good. I'll just say that much. But all the top 10 picks I had, plus having Larson to win. One of the other steals I saw, it was minus 170 odds for a driver to start in the top 10 and win the race. And I was just thinking of the guys that are starting in the top 10. Larson's first, Byron's second. I think Bell started in the top 10. Hamlin started second. He's up there. Chastain started 6th. He's in 5th. Keselowski started 4th. He's in 6th. I know Reddick started outside the top 10. Kyle Busch started outside the top 10. Blaney started in the top 10. He's still in 10. So, I mean, you have, 6 or 7 cars in the top 10 right now that started there, including 1 through 6. So that bet looks like it's going to be pretty easy, especially with the way it's been very hard to pass. It'll be interesting, though, how green flag pit stops shake things up, and obviously what adjustments can be made for drivers to try to catch up to those 2 dominant Hendrick Motorsport cars at the front of the field. AJ Allmendinger, who's the last car on the lead lap, is 21 seconds off the lead, and the lap times by the leader still in the low 29s, about 29.2, 29.1 is where we saw it. About this point of the last run, really, too. Very few drivers have ran their fastest laps off the last restart. The only drivers that ran their fastest laps that are in the top 10 off the restart to stage number 2 were Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch at laps 71 and 72. Everybody else's fastest lap inside the top 25 were all ran at the start of the race today within the first 5 laps. So that's an interesting note. So far that the track, despite the rubber being laid in, it just doesn't seem like they're getting much faster throughout the course of the day today. And I almost wonder if maybe the track temp and the air temp is going up, causing the cars to slide around a bit more now that we're getting into the middle afternoon hours, Phoenix local time, versus the start of the race just before 1 o'clock. So maybe getting just a tad warmer than what it was, 76 degrees air temp-wise at the drop of the green flag, maybe a couple degrees warmer there. Still no cloud coverage. Rarely any clouds in the sky as it usually is for Phoenix. Yesterday was kind of a shocking overcast day. William Byron has ran down Kyle Larson, though, over the last handful of laps. Larson very loose off the exit of turn 2 that time. He's definitely starting to struggle with the handling of his car. Byron has closed the gap down to 0.3 of a second on Kyle Larson here over recent laps. 2023 championship is underway. I mean, hey, this is the track the championship is ran at. And we saw Fords dominate the first race and end up dominating the fall race last year. Even though it was an SHR Ford winning the spring race, Ford still dominated it. The fact that Hendrick is dominant out of the gate this season and here at Phoenix today, that could be scary if Larson or an Elliott or even a Byron makes it into the championship 4 again at the end of the year. You never know. Hendricks won 2 of the last 3 championships with Elliott and Larson, 2020 and 2021, both with the finale at Phoenix. So it wouldn't be a complete surprise. Full screen commercial break right now for Fox. We'll keep our coverage going. Again, your full field rundown on lap 100 of 212 so far has Kyle Larson in the race lead by half a second now over William Byron. He was about a tenth quicker that last lap than the 24. Christopher Bell in 3rd place, Denny Hamlin in 4th, Ross Chastain in 5th, Kevin Harvick in 6th place, Brad Keselowski 7th, Kyle Busch in 8th, Tyler Reddick 9th, and Ryan Blaney is 10th. 11th place is Chris Buescher, Daniel Suarez in 12th, Alex Bowman 13th, Michael McDowell 14th, Chase Briscoe, 15th place. Brad Keselowski, 16th. Martin Truex Jr., 17th. Eric Jones in 18th. Ty Gibbs, 19th. Eric Almirola is 20th. 21st is Ryan Preece. Josh Berry, 22nd. Joey Logano, 23rd. Remember, he got the free pass during the stage break. 24th is A.J. Allmendinger. Austin Cindric, 25th. He's the first car lap down still. Justin Haley at 26th. Austin Dillon struggle to start this race, 27th for him. Daytona 500 winner Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 28th, Noah Gragson 29th, Corey LaJoie is 30th, 31st is Zane Smith, Harrison Burton in 32nd, 33rd is Ty Dillon, Todd Gillen 34th, Cody Ware 35th, and BJ McLeod still the only car out of the race in 36th, and a mechanical issue towards the end of stage 1 with about 7 to go there. 102 laps complete, 209 laps so far still to go, and 111.95 miles per hour is the average race speed. And we have clicked away over 100 laps in less than an hour today at Phoenix, with the only caution so far being the stage break at lap 60. And considering the halfway point of this stage is in about another 20 to 25 laps, we'll probably be getting into pit stops when Fox comes back for the commercial break or shortly thereafter. Larson still in the lead right now. Only Larson and Byron have led in this race. 62 laps led so far for Byron. Larson continues to lead right now. Byron keeping a lot closer pace to the 5 car, though, than when the 24 was leading with the 5 behind him. Cars fairly equal with each other for the second consecutive week. Almost a carbon copy of what it was last week when it was the 24 leading for a lot of the first 2 stages like he did in stage 1 today. But once Larson got the lead in stage 3, it was tough to catch him as well. So clean air is a big factor in racing, as we know. It doesn't really matter what the car is, and that seems to be the case here.
keeps getting stronger and stronger. Maybe by the end of this thing, a couple more adjustments, they can get this hot rod where it needs to be. Go after them Hendrick cars.
William Byron had closed to within about 0.3 of a second of Kyle Larson, and now he's dropped back by the same amount. What's up there?
Cannot pass the big thing. Go past them when they get time to pit. You stay in shoot distance, okay? Stay locked in, bud. Doing really good here. Stay locked in. Keep chipping away.
Byron sounds a little frustrated over the radio that he just can't catch and pass the 5, but because of the tire fall off we have seen so far, get fastest laps of the race for William Byron, 27.882. That is about a second and a half rather faster than the last lap he just ran of a 29.367. So, considering he's only 0.6 of a second off the lead, all he has to do, is obviously not make a mistake with speeding on pit road. If he doesn't make a mistake on pit road and he pits just one lap before Kyle Larson, has an equal pit stop as Kyle Larson, the math will say that he'll end up cycling out about a second ahead of him as of right now, just by pitting one lap before him. Even if Kyle Larson has about a second faster of a pit stop than William Byron, they'll be pretty much equal on time coming out of the pits. That's the trouble you could be in, though, if you're the lead car. It's hard to predict when exactly to pit when you're in the lead versus when you're in second, because you can only drive out of your rear view mirror so far, but if the second car drops into the pits, it's going to be too late for you to try to drop in at the same time, and you'll have to come around the next lap and potentially surrender the lead with the tire fall off. Kyle Busch still in 9th right now. Tyler Reddick has fallen back to 10th. Doesn't look as fast on the long run as what he did back in stage number 1. Another full screen commercial break, it looks like, from Fox right now. I think we'll be a lot closer to green flag pit stops when they come back this next time. No Taurus, thanks for tuning into the stream. Still a little shy of the halfway mark in stage 2 specifically, though. I'm going to say about 15 more laps until we see pit stops. Top 5 still. Kyle Larson in the lead. William Byron 2nd. Christopher Bell in 3rd. Denny Hamlin 4th. And Kevin Harvick during the commercial break has moved up to 5th. Ross Chastain's dropped back to 6th place now. So it'll be 20 straight top 10s for Kevin Harvick at Phoenix. He can finish there today and off to a good start at 5th place, which is where he finished in the fall race last season. Finished 6th in the spring race. I wonder what the record is for the fastest race at Phoenix. I'm about to look that up real quick. I'm curious. Let's see here. Good old Google. Phoenix. Curious if this could potentially be the fastest one. So 2002, they had an average race speed of 113.8 miles per hour. And that was with 4 cautions for 18 caution laps. So if they had 4 yellows in that race and ran 113 mile per hour average, it is doable today. I don't see There was a race where there was 2 cautions, but the average race speed was 106.512 miles an hour. That was the range shortened race that Dale Jr. won in 2015 rather. 112.096. It's still a little slower than the 2002 race. That had 4 cautions also. So pretty much, if we get 3 or less cautions in today's race, which we know we're going to get another caution with the stage break, so if we have 1 caution per incident or less, then this could be the record for the fastest Phoenix race in NASCAR Cup Series history. Lap 57 in Stage 2, so they're exactly 6 laps away from the halfway mark in this stage, which is when we'll probably see some drivers hit pit road. On the other side of the commercial break, Byron has closed that gap back down a little bit. He was about 9/10 of a second behind Larson, and now he's only about 4/10 of a second behind him. That last lap, he was 2/10 quicker than Kyle. But I think Kyle kind of got held up by the 21 car of Harrison Burton just a bit, which is allowing the 24 of Byron to close in. Harrison Burton trying not to go a second lap down. Zane Smith just in front of the 21 car as well. Irina Sayre, thanks for tuning in. Harvick catching Hamlin. Maybe. Oh, Hamlin in the pits. Never mind. Here we go. We got our first green flag pit stops.
That's right, and first taker, Denny Hamlin makes his way down pit road. They took a swing at it after that first stop. He was free and tight through the middle. Wanted to snug it up a little bit as the guys go to work. Right side tires here. They already made that air pressure adjustment. You see the tear off there.
Kyle Larson's coming in from the lead. William Byron also in.
Like the 5 is coming in, Mike.
Exactly that. 5 and the 24. As soon as he brought them in, he was a good.
Christopher Bell is in.
Up front, drew the leaders in. Here they come.
Jamie.
William Byron, he just hasn't had much to complain
Brian
about.
Blaney is in.
It's been so good. It's just one problem, and that's been his teammate ahead of him, trying to get around him. Team has been good on that first stop. Air pressure adjustment, 4 tires here, Regan.
20 Christopher Bell. That race car needs a little bit more front turn, but the team predicted if they got hot and slick today like it is, they felt like they would be very strong. In the 5 of Kyle Larson, lots of updates about what the 24 behind him is doing. He's been trying third gear a couple times, just working his tools inside of that race car.
Under green flag conditions, Larson is going to beat his teammate off pit road.
So there you go. Larson pretty handedly beats William Byron out of the pits. Looks like Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, Brad Keselowski are also in. Kyle Busch is in also.
Slow pit stop for the 20. Couldn't quite tell what was going on there, but definitely a slow stop.
Regan.
Ross Chastain in the 1 car is tight, running the bottoms of turn 1 and 2, but the back of the car is out of the track everywhere on him, and radio issues on the 1 car. They had to switch radio channels during that run.
So Brad Keselowski stays out. He is the race leader. And now in. And that will send Kyle Larson back to the lead as Keselowski makes his stop.
So the leaders have cycled back through pit stops so far, and your top 10 looks like this. You got Kyle Larson with a 1.3 second lead over Byron. He net gained about 4/10 of a second on him. Denny Hamlin still in 3rd place. Kevin Harvick in 4th. Ross Chastain 5th. Ryan Blaney 6th. Brad Keselowski 7th. Christopher Bell fell back to 8th during green flag pit stops. Chris Buescher is up to 9th place now, and Tyler Reddick is 10th. Showing a replay of the pit stop from the 20 team and what was the cause of the length of the pit stop. It looked like they had to re-jack up the right side of the race car. And Byron almost took equipment out of the box with the gas can still locked in as he was leaving and knocked a couple of the pit crew guys over, but they did keep the equipment in the box, so no penalty there for Byron. Another commercial break here from Fox on the broadcast. Take the time to look at where our spotlight drivers are at for today's race. Kyle Larson, William Byron, a couple of the must-have picks. They are running 1st and 2nd right now. Kevin Harvick, another one of those, is in 4th. And Ross Chastain is in 5th. So no surprise, the 4 must-haves are in the top 5 today. As I predicted, for them to at least get a top 10. Brad Keselowski, one of the sleeper picks, is in 7th place right now, so he's in the top 10 also. Another driver that I have for a sleeper is Chase Briscoe. He's up to 13th. This is as high as he's been in the running order so far, so he's slowly working his way up there. And then the three don't have picks of Alex Bowman, Bubba Wallace, Mark Truex Jr. They are all outside the top 10 still. Alex Bowman is in 12th, Bubba Wallace in 14th, and then Mark Truex Jr. is 15th. So as the race stands right now, prediction-wise, if I count Larson winning the race because he's my pick to win as well, I would be 9-4-10 on my prediction so far at today's race. So far, so good. The only one I'm missing out is Briscoe outside the top 10 and 13th right now. But he started 24th. It's been difficult to pass. We haven't had any cautions for incidents, so no restarts to try to gain some track position. So he's slowly working himself through the field as this race progresses forward. A lot of the Fords that are inside the top 10, surprisingly though, Joey Logano has been outside the top 20 most of the day. He is up to 18th after green flag pit stops. Kyle Busch had a bad pit stop. He is now lapped down in 23rd. So I don't know if he had a pit road penalty and had to come back down. And then Ty Gibbs also has fallen a lap down due to a slower stop. Eric Jones, same goes for him. So a lot of cars lap down now during this long green flag run to start stage 2. Down to just 19 cars on the lead lap. And Josh Berry's the last of which on the lead lap in the 9 car for Hendrick Motorsports. I'm curious if this stage goes green flag to the end for about the next 50 laps, how many cars are going to be on the lead lap to the end of the stage? Because cars that are about 2/3 of a lap down would really be from about 13th on back right now. Cars that are at least a half a lap off the race lead would be drivers from Chris Buescher in 9th on back. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting as we're just past halfway through the stage by about 5 laps. If those drivers will go lap down, we may see Kyle Larson lap cars inside the top 10 before the end of stage 2. Which would definitely narrow the finishing order down quite a bit for drivers who could potentially get the win today. And even really get top 10s. It'd almost lock everybody that's in the top 10 to get in a top 10 finish in stage 3 unless you get a bunch of yellows to get drivers back into the free pass position. So it looks like it was an uncontrolled tire penalty for Kyle Busch. When they were on the right side of that race car, the right rear tire started rolling away before the tire carrier could grab it and roll it back to the pit wall. So that is the reason why Kyle Busch is falling a lap down. Again, an uncontrolled tire penalty, a pit crew penalty for Kyle Busch. So nothing of his own doing. He was having a decent day. He was running in the back half of the top 10, running about 8th through 10th most of this race. But unfortunately now is going to be a lap down, as I mentioned moments ago, in 23rd, not in the free pass position by any means either. His teammate Austin Dillon is in the free pass position as of right now. Yeah, Busch would have had to come back in to serve the penalty. It would be a pass-through penalty. Byron still about a second off of Larson. He has ran even lap time since exiting pit road for the most part. I think when he first exited the pits, he's about 1.4 seconds off the lead. So he's closed the gap slightly, but over the last couple laps, he's been right back to an even lap time as Larson. The big battle is going to be at the end of stage 2 when they get to that next pit stop. If we don't get any cautions for incident, it's going to be the battle on pit road. That number 1 pit box helped Kyle Larson win the race off pit road at stage 1. Then he timed the restart out well. He kept his lead on William Byron as a result, and he has led almost every green flag lap of the stage. The only laps he hasn't led in stage 2 so far were some of the other drivers staying out a couple laps longer than him during green flag pit stops. "19-second pit stop, by the way, for Bell, which dropped him to 8th.
I talked to him this morning, and he said the key to today's
Talking about Kevin Harvick right now.
to have a car that is universal, meaning you can move around, run the bottom, run the middle, run the top. He's pretty much been able to do that. His only feedback, though, he needs more front turn. They've made the back better, but he wanted an adjustment for the front turn, and that's what they just gave him on that last stop.
Quick update on the poll right now in the chat. Asked you guys who was going to win today's race. 46% say Kyle Larson out of the 129 votes. Other at 40%. William Byron still at 6%, despite the fact that he has been top 2 all race. Surprised he doesn't have more votes still. And then Denny Hamlin, who is in 3rd, is at 8%. Oddly enough, those were the 3 favorites according to Vegas. So Vegas, knowing their NASCAR stuff coming into the day, having 1 through 3 And I believe Harvick was like in the top 6 on the favorites, and he's in 4th right now. So, I think they're getting the hang of a little bit of these picks. They had Keselowski at some pretty low odds, or good odds if you're a better, I guess. If you're a bet for Keselowski, even for a top 10, he was at plus 270, which I was surprised, considering the speed he's had recently and how well he qualified, how good the Fords are at Phoenix. Because even though we're seeing 2 Chevys and a Toyota at the top of the board right now, sorry, let me pull up the leaderboard again. As that's going on, we still have 4 Fords rather in the top 9. So very interesting. Good run for both RFK cars inside the top 10 right now. Ryan Blaney carrying the banner for Penske while his other 2 teammates are 18th and worse. Cindric already a lap down, has been for a little while. 1.1 second lead for Larson at the line over Byron that last time. Austin Dillon pretty slow on the track. I don't think he's pit yet. I think he's going to try to come in now. No, he did pit already, I guess. He was just very low in the center of the corner. Christopher Bell, Brad Keselowski battling for position on the track for 7th place. Keselowski, 3 wide middle right now. Just clears the 38 car of Zane Smith. Christopher Bell down on the bottom. Keselowski is on the outside. Got a lap car in the 77 of Ty Dillon in the way of both cars. They'll be 3 wide in the middle again. Keselowski kind of pinning the 20 car of Bell. He had to get out of the gas, keep it off the back of the 77, and we have a caution. Caution is out for Eric Almirola as his hub off of one of his right side tires has come off. So the hub has come off the right front tire of Eric Almirola, causing debris for our first caution of stage 2 and our second caution total in the race. So it'll be interesting if cars will pit or not, because we've only ran about 15 laps on these tires. It looked like he actually might have had the right front tire go down, because it looked like he hit the wall pretty hard off turn 4 before the hub came off. I'm thinking that the tire might have blown before the hub came off. Or the tire itself just started to come loose and that caused him to hit the wall off turn 4. But the angle in which he hit, it looked like his tire blew or something broke, resulting in the contact with the wall. NASCAR Fan 33, thanks for tuning in. So caution number 2 today. It looks like Ty Gibbs will get the free pass, by the way, in 19th place. So Gibbs will be the beneficiary to this debris caution from Eric Almirola. So bunch the field back together with Larson and Byron now. We'll have a little less than half of stage 2 remaining when they go back to green flag racing. Probably a little less than 50 laps left in the stage. But I'm curious to see who pits and who stays out here. We have less than half the field on the lead lap. So if you're at the tail end of the lead lap, I'd pit. But it's going to be interesting if everybody at the very front of the field will pit also. Tire probably blew before the hub fell off. That's what I was kind of thinking, just because the rubber wasn't on the actual hub. It's weird that the hub would come off and the rubber would still kind of be on the car, so it's a little interesting. You'd have to imagine going that far into the green flag run, too, that if it was a loose lug nut, that the tire would have come off well after, or well before it actually ended up taking place, because we had green flag pit stops probably 15 laps before that tire came off. There's no way it would have lasted that long, especially at this flat of a racetrack where there's a lot of stress on the right front tire as it is anyway. Lot of load. Pit road will be open this time. We'll see if there's going to be any takers. 44 laps to go in stage 2 currently. And we're about 12 laps shy of the halfway mark in today's race in total.
The outside lane right here up on your left. No, we didn't flatten the tire, right? The wheel broke. Correct, the wheel broke.
And pit road is open.
Larson Byron leading the field into the pits.
Larson, William Byron, Denny Hamlin bring them in. Jamie?
And Denny Hamlin,
everybody
in
on the
has
lead
done a
lap.
nice job today, running top 4 all race so far. He said he's better on the short run there, a little bit tighter, so that has helped. He needs a little bit more though on entry. The 24 of William Byron said he needs a little bit more front turn as well. They're going to do a quarter round of wedge in the right rear. Regan?
The one car, Ross Chastain, is loose all the way around the racetrack. He also lost drive off of the corner of that run, meaning when he went to put the power down, the back tires would slide and spin too much. The 5 of Kyle Larson, tighter this run than he has been all day long. Keep in mind, the cars are spread all the way around the racetrack. He commented about that. Wants a little bit of help on that.
Race off pit road, going to go back to Kyle Larson once again with that number 1 pit box. Says he is going to win the race. Byron ends up a close second once more. Biggest gainers of the top 10 in the pits. Brad Keselowski up 2 spots. Daniel Suarez up 2 spots. Blaney and Bell both down 1 of those that pitted. Easy E Network, thanks for tuning in. He's had the fastest pit crew. I mean, it's definitely Larson and Byron. Honestly, Larson's barely won the race off pit road the last 2 times, and the only 2 times they've all pitted under caution at the same time. And I think it's mainly just because that first box, he doesn't have to get too good of a launch out of it. As long as he moves a couple feet, he's going to win the race out of the pits. So I'm thinking Byron's had pretty close pit stops to Larson, and they're definitely coming out 1-2 every time, so you'd have to imagine they've had the best. Ryan Blaney is net lost, I believe, 4 positions on pit road. Lost 3 spots earlier, and now he ends up losing another spot this time. His pit crew has been bad ever since like 2021, 2022. I feel like it's not talked about a lot in the NASCAR community, both on the internet and just in general. I mean, that man, anytime there's a pit stop under yellow, I swear that crew loses at least 1 spot almost every single time. It's amazing that he's lucky to even, like, just have a net gain of 0 on pit road. Another off day for him. It's frustrating as a Ryan Blaney fan. I'll tell you that much. Larson had the fast stop of a 10.2 earlier. Average of a 10.546. Can't read. Gotta make sure my fantasy team is set. Remember, fantasy locks up at the end of stage 2 for those of you playing in the KRC League. That's in the chat. Be sure to join the league if you haven't already. Chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race of your choosing the following season, excluding the Daytona 500 if you win the regular season or playoff championship. A lot of my guys having good runs on that. Feeling pretty good about the team this week. Kyle Busch is a lap down right now, so I'm taking him out of the lineup. Everybody else I have on my team is in the top 7 of the 5 drivers, so feeling pretty good there. And you got Kyle Busch a lap down due to an uncontrolled tire penalty earlier on.
observer said they had no loose wheels or anything like that. They believe the wheel just straight up broke, and there was a portion of that wheel still on the race car when he made it to pit road finally to make a pit stop.
Thanks.
So that was an update on the 10 car of Eric Almirola. Brought out that last caution. Four different leaders today, 5 lead changes, 2 cautions. Had some drivers take the wave around there that did not pit at all. They'll be on older tires for the restart, just hoping that they can finish this stage on the lead lap or catch another quick caution. Those drivers would include Ryan Preece, AJ Allmendinger, Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, and Michael McDowell all took the wave around. So we'll be back on the lead lap for now, but if this goes green to the end of the stage, they're going to have a hard time trying to stay in front of the leaders. Because we will have 39 laps left in Stage 2 when we go back to green flag racing. Larson elects the inside lane as he's done all day. He's been the controlled car every restart. Byron again on the outside of row 1. Green flag back in the air. Larson gets a pretty good launch and a nice push from the 11 car of Denny Hamlin. Taking a huge shortcut down to the bottom of the racetrack and quickly try to pull high on Byron, who drives it in deep on the outside lane, initially getting into the corner, but Larson is going to easily slide clear off of turn 2. Kevin Harvick battling side by side with Denny Hamlin for third place. He's on the outside with Hamlin down low. Bell pulling out of line, going to take it 3 wide into turn 3 underneath Keselowski and Chastain. Keselowski going extra wide that time. Bell going to use the one of Chastain up just a little bit as they make contact off turn 4. And still side by side. That's going to allow Keselowski to pull away from him in 5th place. Chastain and Bell down on the bottom, still side by side. Larson led the first lap after the restart by about a car length and a half over William Byron, still about a car length and a half ahead of him into 3 and 4 this time by. Bell clears Ross Chastain in the 1 car. Tyler Reddick now looking to the inside of Chastain. Can't get a good drive in the center of the corner, and Chastain will hold on for 7th. 6th place, rather. No, it is 7th, actually. Corrected myself a couple times there. I had to look at the leaderboard real quick. Should have guesstimate in my head, didn't work out very well. Joey Logano sending it down into turns 1 and 2, 3 wide. Almost made contact with Josh Berry and Chris Buescher. They both get back around him with a crossover. And Ty Gibbs on the outside as well. One car dive bombing all the way down to the apron in the middle of the dogleg, trying to pick up more positions. Tough to tell exactly who that was back there. We're already 4 or 5 laps into the restart, and they're still shortcutting the dogleg by quite a bit outside the top 10. A lot of battling for position going on there. Bubba Wallace side by side with Daniel Suarez for 11th place. Brad Keselowski almost making contact with Denny Hamlin in the middle of the dogleg as they battle side by side for 4th. What adjustments have been made to that 6 car? He's looking sporty after this restart. He'll clear the 11 pretty easily, who has been 3rd or 4th most of this race. So a couple of Fords moving forward now of Kevin Harvick and Brad Keselowski over recent laps. Slowly trying to creep in on the Hendrick Chevys of Kyle Larson and William Byron. 3 wide for position through turns 3 and 4. Further back around Briscoe, Berry, and Chris Buescher in the 17, who's the driver who keeps cutting the dog leg down to the bottom of the track, trying to clear both of those drivers. The 3-car battle for about 13th. Briscoe, the huge launch off the exit of the corner, just clears the 9 and carries that momentum. He must have downshifted to get that launch, because there's no way you can tell me he didn't downshift. He had such a huge run off of turn 2 and clearing both the 9 and the 17 by as much as he did. Buescher gets a great drive, though, through 3 and 4, which still gets him back to the inside of Briscoe through the front stretch, heading down into 1 and 2. It's a good battle for 13th going on back there. Byron 7/10 of a second behind Larson following this restart. Kyle Larson is now caught up to William Byron for the most laps led. Larson has led 91 laps, Byron 62 so far. The only other drivers to lead were Brad Keselowski and Ross Chastain, each with 1 lap led during green flag pit stops in the middle of the second stage. Harvick trying to creep into the picture along with Keselowski, a couple of the Fords who have been having some pretty good restarts with the few that we have had so far today. trying to maybe make it interesting as we get closer to the final stage, earn themselves a couple extra stage points as well. Both off to some pretty hot starts to the season. Hot in the sense that they're in the top 16 in points and will definitely continue that trend with the stage points they've received in the early going of today's race. Alex Bowman cracking the top 10 for the first time today after this restart as well, up to 10th. Chris Buescher lost about 3 spots on that last restart. Contact in a battle between the 9 and the 22. Josh Berry and Joey Logano. Logano's lost a little ground since that contact, though. Now Ryan Preece is underneath them looking to challenge for that position. 99 trying to hold up the 14 and the 17 behind him. They're going to split him 3 wide off turn 2. 1 to the bottom, 1 to the top. Suarez gets pinched by Buescher. There's contact off turn 2. Suarez is already in the process of getting out of the gas, letting him go, and Buescher just darted across him when he wasn't clear yet. And there was definitely some contact made. And still, despite the 99 getting in the way, and the contact between the 17 and the 99, Buescher still underneath Briscoe. And this has been an intense battle for what was 13th is now 12th. Suarez got crunched there. Very lucky to hit the fender, not the actual left front tire of the race car, so Suarez's car should be okay. Not a lot of damage on it either. Josh Berry, Joey Logano both getting by Ryan Preece for position that last lap as well, moving them into 15th and 16th on the grid. Ryan Preece looking to the inside of Joey Logano, trying to cross him back over. Larson maintains an 8 to 9 tenths of a second lead, and Harvick still about 1.4 to 1.5 back. 27 laps to go yet in stage 2. 23 cars on the lead lap. Austin Dillon, the first car lap down. And remember, there were a lot of guys that took the wave around to get their lap back that are on older tires. AJ Allmendinger, Michael McDowell, Eric Jones, Kyle Busch, and Ryan Preece are those drivers. Will they stay on the lead lap before the end of the stage? 26 to go. It'll be interesting. Yep, 100 laps down in the stage. 150 to go, just past halfway. 162 laps in the books.
On the day, Kevin Harvick said he's taking off better. That last run, the car has gotten much better. This morning, something else Kevin was telling me was rhythm. It's so important for him to find his rhythm, and you hear that a lot with this Ford team. Glenn and Danica, how important is rhythm, and what does rhythm mean for a driver?
This track is such a rhythmic track. You have to find your groove. Both ends of this track are completely different. 1 and 2, very wide sweeping corners. The thing, once you get it from underneath of you, you pick the gas up way early in that corner, asking a lot out of it. Very loose. Everybody's been complaining about loose off of 2. Then you come down to 3 and 4, down that very straight back straightaway into 3, tight into this racetrack. Trying to find a good balance in both ends of this track is hard on not only the driver but the crew chief, but then the rhythm, right? You hear the downshifts, the upshifts, the braking, all those things. You have to get into sync, find your rhythm, and then here comes your lap times.
I think the rhythm is found in discipline. It's easy to overdrive any part of the corner here. There is so much moving around. So to me, rhythm is being disciplined enough to wait to get on the throttle, to wait to get up, roll off the brake, all the little things, to wait to hit the bottom, to hit the line. Those are the things that get you, that it lead to rhythm and not mistakes.
23 laps to go in stage 2 with Kyle Larson leading. We're going to take you Fox side by side.
And as they do that, we'll go through the full field running order once more. Kyle Larson, your race leader by 9 tenths of a second over William Byron in second still. Kevin Harvick is in third place. Brad Keselowski fourth. Denny Hamlin in fifth. Tyler Reddick in sixth. Christopher Bell seventh. Ryan Blaney in eighth. Ross Chastain is in ninth place. Alex Bowman is 10th. Chase Briscoe in 11th. Bubba Wallace in 12th. Chris Buescher in 13th. Daniel Suarez in 14th. Josh Berry 15th. 16th place is Ryan Preece. Mark Truex Jr. in 17th, Joey Logano 18th, Ty Gibbs 19th, and Kyle Busch is 20th. 21st is Eric Jones, 22nd Michael McDowell, AJ Allmendinger in 23rd. First car lap down is Austin Dillon in 24th. Noah Gragson in 25th. Austin Cindric 26th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 27th, Corey LaJoie 28th, Justin Haley 29th, Harrison Britton 30th, Ty Dillon 31st, Todd Gillen 32nd, Zane Smith 33rd, 34th is Cody Ware, Eric Almirola 35th, and then BJ McLeod out of the race in 36th. He's the only car out. Eric Almirola 6 laps down after having that tire come apart, causing our only incident of the race so far today. And our only 2 cautions was that Almirola accident as well as the stage end at the end of stage 1. We know we're guaranteed at least one more yellow with the stage break coming up in 20 laps. Kyle Larson and William Byron still battling for this stage win. Byron won stage 1. Larson, though, has led the most laps in this race so far today. Byron tied for the most stage wins in the early going of the year with Chastain after winning stage 1. And if Kyle Larson can win this stage, it will be his first stage win of the season. Five-car stout today. Yeah, he's been stout all weekend. Qualified on the pole, fastest in practice Friday. Mentioned that he had the fastest 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 lap average in practice. I think Byron is a little bit quicker than Kyle Larson personally. It's just Larson has had the track position with his crew winning him the race off of pit road both times that we have had a yellow to set up a restart, and Larson's beating him on the restart every time. Although it does help when you're the control car, you get to pick the lane, and Larson has picked the inside lane both times and has worked it out perfectly for himself. He's going to have to do that at least one more time yet. And I say Byron might be just a tad quicker in this race than Larson because when Byron took the lead on the initial start of the race from Kyle Larson, he ran and hid. It wasn't like Larson's situation now where Byron is about 1.2 seconds behind him and then he can close back in within a half a second. Kyle Larson just wasn't as fast as Byron. He fell about 2.5 seconds off the lead and stayed there. Byron kind of ran and hid in the early going when he had that clean air. So I do think that is a big difference. And I think a lot of it could be that the 24 is a lot better on the short run than the 5, and then they're just pretty equal with each other on the long run. Adrian K, thanks for tuning in also.
Barry now just drove his way into the top 15. I talked to Alan Gustafson, the crew chief, this morning, and he said what a difference a week makes. They were able to do simulation this week, spent a lot of time, turned a lot of laps, learning each other, learning what Josh needs. And I asked him, how is Chase doing? Of course, he's recovering from that broken leg and surgery. He said Chase is very much a part of this team. He's watching at home right now. He's got this setup. He's scanning the radios. He's talking to the team with that team communication. Alan told me, he told Chase, I need more feedback. I want to hear from you. What are you seeing and what can we do to help our driver, to help Josh Berry behind the wheel? Very much still part of this team, even though he's not in the seat.
Thanks, Jim. Top 15. Moving up to third place, Kevin Harvick is coming. He's now within 2 seconds, less than 2 seconds of the leaders.
Last couple laps, he was at least a little less than 1/10 of a second quicker than Byron and Larson. So maybe the right adjustments to Kevin Harvick for that long run pace. Trying to get another win in his final season in the NASCAR Cup Series. This would tie him with Kyle Busch at 61 career wins all time. Both drivers in the top 10 of the all-time wins list. Remember, Harvick will be in the booth full-time for Fox next season. I think that pretty much guarantees that he at least isn't going to be running the first half of the season while Fox is taking coverage. Maybe he runs some races part-time in the second half of the year. You never know, but wouldn't be with SHR, though. That's the thing with them having 4 charters. And you can only run as many as 4 cars at a time in the Cup Series. Byron is falling off just a little bit from Kyle Larson compared to what he was. Kevin Harvick is still fairly equal on speed with the 29 and the 5. Some laps he's quicker, some laps he's about the same. But that's a lot closer than anybody else has really been to both the 24 and the 5 all race long. So he's got that going for him. Keselowski a little less than 4 seconds off the lead, but he hasn't been able to keep up with Harvick during this long green flag run. He's just kind of settling himself alone in fourth. And Tyler Reddick has regathered himself back in the top 5 as the highest running Toyota. He's kind of fluctuated back and forth between 5th and 12th pretty much this whole race, so he's had a very weird race going for himself. Maybe they go the wrong way on an adjustment and then they go back to the right direction, or they go too far maybe. Whatever the case is, he's fluctuated back and forth a lot during all these green flag runs really throughout today's race. Chris Buescher battling Alex Bowman on the racetrack right now. Bowman got the 10th on the restart, but now is in danger of falling back to 13th as he fades on the long run. Doesn't have the same long run speed that the 24 and the 5 has, and just the speed in general. This is one of Bowman's worst racetracks. Only one career top 10 here in 11 starts with HMS, and his last 10 were outside the top 10. Hasn't finished better than 13th in those last 10 races. Had a big power slide on the inside of the racetrack, and he was dirt tracking it off of turn 2. Trying to keep it off the 14 car of Chase Briscoe. Did a good job doing so. That's how he lost 10th place, and then Bubba Wallace scurried by him in the process of Bowman getting loose as well. That's what dropped the 48 back to 12th. So no position to get any stage points for himself right now. Just 8 laps to go at stage 2, as long as we stay green, of course. Larson still holding on to a 1 second lead over Byron. Harvick, who got to within 1.9 seconds off the lead, is now back to about 2.1 seconds back. He's been a little bit slower than both Larson and Byron the last couple laps as they get through some lap traffic. Everybody that took the wave around at the last caution should be able to hold on to their lead lap before the end of the stage. The last car in the lead lap is AJ Allmendinger. He's just over 22 seconds off the lead, but Larson have to be at least a second a lap faster than him to catch him before the end of the stage, which I don't think is going to be the case. So, looking like a good call to take the wave around for Kyle Busch, Michael McDowell, Eric Jones, AJ Allmendinger, and Ryan Preece. I honestly didn't think they were going to be able to hold on, but it looks like that they are going to be able to. And currently Austin Dillon is in the free pass position over Noah Gragson in 24th if he can hold on to his lap before the end of the stage. Which he would have taken tires because he didn't take the wave around, so I'm thinking that he should be able to hold on as well. We'll have 5 to go this time by in stage 2.
The 2/3 of 1 and 2, the whole center of 1, 3 and 4, no grid, no lateral, either end, slide, scatter, pushes, sideways, everything. Entry still up ahead, exit's not terrible, I hit it right.
I used to have a crew chief, Mike. Boy, he was a smart aleck. I don't know, probably had a smart aleck behind the wheel too, but he always used to tell me, just reach up there on the dash, the third one over to grid switch. Boy, I hated when he said that.
That was Martin Truex Jr. on the radio. His team communications trying to let them know of what possible adjustments would be good for his race car during the pit stops that will be during the next stage break. 4 laps to go in stage 2 right now for Kyle Larson, getting through a couple cars that are already more than 1 lap down of Harrison Burton and Ty Dillon currently. Byron still about a second back. More than likely isn't going to be able to catch him before the end of the stage, and Harvick is still about 2.3 seconds off the lead, but pit stops are going to be big, though. If Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski have picked up the pace a little bit in this next stage, do they have a chance to beat the 5 and the 24 off of pit road, or even just the 24? The 5 is going to be tough to beat with that number 1 pit box, but if they can beat the 24, they can restart on the front row, and maybe they can put up a fight with Kyle Larson on the restart. That could be the difference in them potentially going to victory lane today. Get that clean air advantage. But the field is definitely closed as far as interval times between positions on the 200 cars that have dominated the day of Larson and Byron. We don't know exactly how those 2 cars are going to handle in traffic if they get more than just one of their cars in front of them. If they drop back to 4th or 5th on the restart, will they have the speed to get by the cars in traffic to get back up to 1st or 2nd place? So they've had a great job on these restarts so far in the race today, and they're going to have to keep it up at least one more time. Only had 1 caution for incident. It was Almirola's right front tire coming off the race car pretty much. The tire itself broke on the exit of turn 4 midway through stage 2. Got 1 more corner left for Kyle Larson. This will be his first stage win of 2023. First playoff point as he's still searching for his first race win. He has led over 100 laps already today, the most so far. Kyle Larson wins Stage 2 at Phoenix. William Byron second. Kevin Harvick third. Brad Keselowski fourth. And Tyler Reddick will round out the top 5 in Stage 2. Denny Hamlin 6th. Christopher Bell 7th. Ryan Blaney 8th. Ross Chastain 9th. And Chase Briscoe will round out the top 10, all receiving stage points in the second stage of today's race. Sure to hit the like button. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. You're watching the United Rentals Work United 500 live on KRC. We'll have pit stops on the other side of the break. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Cut the commercial for the end of stage. We did not do that, luckily. Tim Irvin, welcome to the stream, by the way. Get my phone on the charger here while we're waiting for Fox to come back from the commercial break. If you haven't voted in the poll, well, we're going to end it. 152 votes for who you guys think will win today's race at Phoenix. 45% said Kyle Larson, who won Stage 2. He was my pick to win. He was Vegas' pick to win at plus 350 odds. And, yeah, Kyle Larson is going to win the poll. 39% said other. Very close poll there. William Byron, who has the second fastest car, or maybe even the fastest car when he gets track position, pretty equal with Larson today. Won Stage 1. He's led over 60 laps. He only got 9% of the votes. And Denny Hamlin with 7% of the votes has been pretty much top 6 or 7 all day. Just not keeping up with those Hendrick cars. But thanks everybody for voting. Again, sorry I didn't get it in the community tab earlier today, so I wanted to make sure I got that in the chat in the poll for today. So again, we will be having pit stops on the other side, and then we'll show off the end of Stage 2 diecast, which is becoming a live commentary string tradition as of this year. Got to show off those diecasts on the wall one way or another. You guys could probably see them, but you'll have to let me know in the chat, like, if you can actually, like, tell what some of them are. I'm curious if the camera's big enough for you guys. I don't want to expand it too much more because then if I expand my camera, it's going to run into the edge of the leaderboard. So I don't want to do that. Still sitting at just the 6 lead changes so far. And outside of Keselowski and Chastain to lead a lap during green flag pit stops, it's been all Larson and Byron leading every other lap in this race so far, whether it has been under caution or under green flag conditions. They finished 1-2 off of pit road every time. It's not just Larson winning the race off pit road every time. It's Byron being second every time, too. That's what's insane so far. But, yeah, we'll show that diecast off once we get through pit stops here in a couple of moments. Both Larson and Byron getting 19 stage points. Remember, William Byron won both stages and the race last weekend, 60 points. Already 19 stage points today when he had 20 last week. If he gets a good finish today, top 5, he's going to end up having a lot of points just in these last 2 races, despite 29th in points after the first 2 races. Remember, the top 10 in the regular season standings at the end of the year get playoff points. If you win the regular season championship, you get 15 playoff points. So William Byron, I'm just saying, maybe an early season favorite for the regular season championship if he can keep this speed up throughout the summer months. I think pit road was still closed this time because everybody in the top 5 stayed out. So I just heard in the Fox booth, as well as many of you guys that are watching the race on Fox, maybe listening to their comments and commentary as well throughout the course of today's race, that for Atlanta next week, that they have moved the commitment line to the entrance of turn 3, pit road, in case there's any green flag pit stops to be had in that race, if they can get the cars slowed up in time to actually make it to pit road. Surprised they didn't do that last year, honestly. This could be the race right here if we don't get any more cautions between the pit stops and then the restart. So these are very important. It's not the last stop of the race. They will have to pit at some point in the final stage as well. But here we go. Pit road's open.
Fair, but you see, trying to get to the bunker at him, everything you can do. Jamie?
William Byron in the 24. Remember the last 2 pit stops in a row, his pit crew had slight hiccups. We'll see if they can nail it here. That's how they were last week. Very good all the way through. He's saying he needs a little bit of better turn in dirty air, especially. They're going to double up that last adjustment, a bigger wedge adjustment here on 4 tires. Kevin Harvick in the 4 just loose. He said he just fired off loose there. They're going to tighten him up. You saw that chassis adjustment there, 4 tires.
Brad Keselowski on this run lost short run speed, but he gained long run speed. Wanted to make a note of that for later in the race if it's a short run. The 5 of Kyle Larson just a little bit tighter for the first 3 or 4 laps of that run. Otherwise, it has been spot on for him.
Larson wins the race off pit road, but Harvick second by a nose over William Byron, Keselowski 4th, and Reddick 5th. Drag race all the way through pit road by Harvick. He kind of squeezed Byron almost into the wall. This is going to be interesting. Kevin Harvick more than likely will be on the front row for the restart, and he'll challenge the Hendrick duo that has dominated the race when they get back to racing here in a couple of laps. So, our second and final diecast showing of the day into Stage 2. I didn't show off yesterday during the Xfinity race that Carl Edwards diecast. This one has nothing to do with Phoenix, but it is my personal favorite Dale Earnhardt Sr. diecast of all time. You can fight me in the chat. It's the Wrangler scheme. This is, in my opinion, the greatest Dale Earnhardt Sr. paint scheme of all time. I mean, come on. I'm a University of Michigan fan, though, so this is like the same colors. So that's why blue and yellow colors gotta stick out to me. I really like them. But anyway, all biased on this side, I think this is definitely my personal favorite, and I think it is the best. I think it's better than the black number 3. You can fight me in the chat all you want, but I like this one better. And I think it's honestly kind of split. I think there are quite a few people out there that would prefer this scheme or think that this one is better than the black number 3. The black number 3 is more iconic just for the sake that is Dale. Like, I feel like it represents him better, but when we're talking about just specifically how good the car looks, I mean, come on, this one. You can't argue. You can try to argue whether this one is better than the black number 3 with Dale Sr., but let's be honest, in my personal opinion, you're not going to win. You're not going to win that battle. Like to see what you guys think in the chat. I'm wrong. Ryan Mitchell thinks I'm wrong. Well, thanks for tuning in. NASCAR Planet, welcome into the stream as well. Troy, thanks for tuning in. Bowman hanging in the shadows waiting the pounds. He may get a top 10. He doesn't have the long run speed, though. He'll get up there on restarts, and then he falls back to about 13th, 14th. We've had nothing but long green flag runs today, so that kind of scares me for him getting a top 10. For your sake. So I know you got a little bit hanging in on that. 3 Root Cup Series, thanks for tuning in also. Into the stream. Billy Kramer likes it. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people like it. I mean, I like it. I personally prefer it over the number 3. Should I put a poll up in the chat? You know what? Let's do it. I can do it. Which Dale Sr. scheme is better? Go Wrangler, black, good wrench. I'm curious. This will settle the score. We have it in the chat, a poll. Which Dale Sr. paint scheme is better, Wrangler or Black Goodwrench? Somebody did that scheme at Darlington a few years ago. I'm pretty sure somebody did. I can't recall it off the top of my head. I love the when Dale Jr. ran that scheme in the 2010 Summer Xfinity race. I really want to get that die-cast. I found it a couple times and I just haven't bought it. I need to get it next time I see it. I know it's going to cost me, but that's one of my favorite paint schemes of all time. And it was on a more modern car that I was actually able to see. Like Dale Sr. raced when I was alive, but I was really young the last couple years. He was still racing. We'll be getting back to green flag racing. Larson elects the inside lane for the restart as he's done all day, but it'll be Kevin Harvick on the outside of the front row that will try to challenge him this time. Byron will be on the inside of row number 2. And Brad Keselowski on the outside of row 2. Green flag back in the air. Pretty even start between the 4 and the 5. A great launch by Kevin Harvick. Will he be able to take the lead? Larson down to block the 24 car as he'll try to take it 3 wide into turn 1 on the inside. Byron going to slide up 1 car almost into the wall. That was Ross Chastain, and they're 5 wide now off the exit of turn 2 back in the pack. Chastain went wide, almost squeezed Chris Buescher into the wall. Chastain lost a few positions as a result. At the front of the field, Kyle Larson was clear of Harvick into 3, and Larson leads the first green flag lap of stage 3. Harvick hangs on to second, Byron in third. It'll be interesting if he can get back around the 4 car now that he is furthest back in the field that he has been all day today. Brad Keselowski still side by side with William Byron, gets a better launch off the exit of the corner, may get to the outside of Byron for third. Still 3 wide back in the pack. Josh Berry making contact into turn 3 with Chris Buescher. Suarez on the outside of both of them will try to drive on by after the contact with the 2 cars underneath. Not quite clear yet. Maybe a little more contact between Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin as Bell went up to block the 11. Keselowski's going to be clear into 4th still. He could not pull alongside the 24 of Byron. Tyler Reddick going to get by Chase Briscoe rather. Briscoe up to 8th place on the restart. Still 3 wide between Josh Berry, Daniel Suarez, and Chris Buescher. Joey Logano creeping in just behind in that 3rd lane behind Suarez. Pulls alongside Elliott. Or rather, Josh Berry. It's the first time I think in these first 2 races Berry's been in the 9 that I called him Chase Elliott. It says Elliott on his windshield. I don't know why they haven't changed that, but Chase not in that car currently. At least have the rookie stripes on it for Josh Berry, but they still don't have his... That's a disservice not to have his name on the car. Larson out to a 7/10 of a second lead over Harvick early on. It's been the dominant car on the restarts and on pit road. A total team effort by that 5 car this week. Looking for redemption after leading late at Las Vegas before a caution with 3 to go and losing the lead on pit road costed him a chance to win the race. Briscoe trying to get around Reddick on the inside through 3 and 4, couldn't do so. Ryan Blaney will carry the momentum now in the 14. Reddick with a pretty good run off turn 4, not only clearing the 14, but he'll go to the bottom trying to pass his boss Denny Hamlin for 6th. Reddick has been back and forth through the back half of the top 10 most of the day. 5th, and then at times back to about 12th. Ryan Blaney still putting the pressure on Briscoe. Side by side, in fact, through the front stretch. Alex Bowman, Ross Chastain going for 10th. Side by side after Chastain lost about 3 spots on the restart. I do have something on Chastain to get a top 10 today. It's as far back in the running order he's been all day after that bad restart. Sailed it off a little too deep into turns 1 and 2. Had to catch his car up the racetrack quite a bit. Alex Bowman going to try a slide job, and he's clear off turn 4. Clears the 1 car for 10th. So Bowman, I mean, he's been in the top 10 of the restarts. We'll see how he'll do on the long run compared to the 1. The 17 seems to have decent long run speed. He's been in the top 10 right around 9th or 10th at the end of the green flag runs. He's in 12th right now, and he's just a couple seconds behind Blaney, say, in 9th. So we'll see if he can get back up there. Larson quickly pulling away, by the way, on Kevin Harvick. Harvick just not able to keep up with the Hendrick cars yet. Though by getting by Byron on pit road and then staying in front of him on the restart, he's holding the 24 back a little bit as a result. Byron still within about 0.4 of a second of Harvick. but he hasn't been able to get around him or even try to challenge him for second yet since the restart's really allowing Kyle Larson to pull away. 1.9 second lead now.
Was backing out of the right front of the car. They had to tighten that up to make sure it was good to get through to the end of the race.
You don't hear that happen often.
Well, we used to.
But when
we first went to this car, those hat bolts would push that was a big reason why the nuts were coming off. The hat bolts were backing off of the wheel there, and it was pushing that nut off, and maybe that did something going on with the 10 car as well.
2 of the 3 leading Toyotas battling side by side. Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin with the preferred line there on the outside. Reddick's coming right back after him.
Be a hard thing to race your boss right there, Danica.
Done it. You've done it too.
Yeah.
Being out there with Tony,
you forget
it's still racing though.
There.
You do. You totally do. You totally do. And they're happy with there's a certain amount of pride when you do well too. I can remember one of the times it was Martinsville, my first Martinsville, and Smoke said, "You tore the stickers off my door when you went by," and I was like, "I don't really know what that means. Are you mad?" But he was happy.
Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, they're fighting for 12th. Chastain, the point leader, top 3 in both Phoenix races last year.
Yeah, not the restart that he wanted. We saw it right there off the bat, slipping, sliding around the 1 up in front of everybody, created a 4-wide scenario, and he's still sliding back. Flip side of that is that 22 Logano, he's coming.
Yeah, as we look at the leaders, we're looking at Kyle Larson. He is pulling second place right now, Kevin Harvick. And what I'm seeing is that the gap is getting bigger, and Kevin's moving around now. William Byron's still running the bottom, but Kevin's moved up top in 3 and 4, and it looks like he's probably trying to find something. Obviously, we've seen Hendrick be so strong all day, and it looks like that's still the case.
Don't look now, but Kevin Harvick just ran his own personal fastest lap of the day.
Well, just be quiet then.
Will Kyle Larson or Kevin?
Ran a fastest lap of the day, but he was still about 0.2 of a second off of Larson that last lap, who ran a 28.624 that last lap. But Larson's fastest lap with 27.996. It was back at lap 4. The only drivers to run their fastest lap off the start of stage 3 so far is Alex Bowman back in 10th, and then Kevin Harvick at lap 198. Of course, he is in second. Got a full screen commercial break right now for Fox. Your top 10 currently. Kyle Larson is in the race lead. Kevin Harvick is 2.9 seconds off the lead in second. William Byron is 3.9 back in third. Christopher Bell in fourth place, 5.7 back. Tyler Reddick in fifth, 6.2 seconds back. Brad Keselowski in sixth place, 6.4 back. 6.6 seconds off the lead is Denny Hamlin in seventh. Ryan Blaney in eighth, 7.6 off the lead. Chase Briscoe in ninth is 7.7 seconds off the lead, and then Alex Bowman is in 10th place. He is 8.9 seconds off the race lead as well. The spotlight driver so far today, Larson, my pick to win, is in the lead. Another must-have. The other 3 must-haves, I should say, William Byron, Kevin Harvick, they're second and third, with Harvick in second. Again, Byron in third, and then Chastain fell back to 13th on this restart, still going backwards. Joey Logano up to 12th. Highest he's been in the running order. Maybe found something on pit road during that last stop, had a good restart as well. He's trying to get himself forward and maybe get a top 10 at the end of the day. I did not have Logano picked, by the way, but I did have Chastain on the must-have. The 2 sleeper picks of Brad Keselowski and Chase Briscoe are both in the top 10 right now. Briscoe at 8th, Brad Keselowski at 6th, so 2 for 2 there. And then 4 for 5 on the other one. And then the don't have picks, Bubba Wallace 19th, Mark Truex Jr. 20th. I was correct on having those guys predicted as not having top 10s. They've barely been in the top 15 today. And then Alex Bowman up to 10th. This is as high as he's been in the running order for the second time now, trying to hold off Chris Buescher for that spot. So 1 for 3 there, but very good on the predictions so far to start the season, and looking even better here today. On the must-have predictions, I'm 7 out of 10 this year from what I've had, and trying to predict the 3rd winner correct already this season if we can get Larson. Haven't had my race win pick finish outside the top 3 yet this season. You could say that's jinxing it. For one, I don't believe that, and then for 2, I've said that every week so far, and it still hasn't not been the case, so I would probably like to think that that will continue. That's including the dual races and the clash, as well as the first 3 points races. And so far, Larson having a 3-second lead right now. He's really opened that gap up. This is the largest lead of the race that anybody has had, whether it's been Larson in stages 2 or 3, or even Byron back at stage 1 has not had a 3-second race lead over second place. So I think Harvick may be holding Byron up, but Byron almost doesn't even look as fast either, because he's about 1.7 seconds off of Kevin Harvick.
Ones to watch. Certainly Larson, the prohibitive favorite coming in here. Won the practice session in all categories, won the pole, led the most laps. Who are some of the other ones to watch and live?
Well, we certainly knew that 5 car was going to be the one to watch, the one to beat. I don't care, he's going to be the one to beat, but how do you beat him? The 24 car, extremely fast when he's up front. You're going to have to beat him out of the pits. I do not think that 5 car wins you the race off of pit road and you pass him on that racetrack. But Danica, this 4 car, the closer, huh?
He's super fast, but what if we're in the scenario where there's a late caution and a restart? I'm going long shot Tyler Reddick. He's wild, he's crazy, he's making the track really wide, so I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't know how you're going to beat Kyle Larson. You kind of gave an idea, but that's my long shot.
He and Christopher Bell will be Toyotas to watch, but the closer, Kevin Harvick. 9 wins here, top 10 in the last umpty-up races. 19, that is. Yeah, if we get a long run at the end, well, I'm looking at the 4 car. Who else?
Well, Mike, there were 2 drivers that came into this race on streaks, top 10 streaks. The only 2 that had a top 10 in both races of 2023. I think that's who we're watching in, Jamie.
Yeah, I've got my eyes on Alex Bowman. I don't think he's going to be a threat for the win, but Larry said he's been consistent all year long. In the top 10, started back in 18th, finds himself in 10th right now, though.
Yeah, and we're going to keep watching Daniel Suarez, the other driver with 3 top 10s. He's been running back there about 11th, just outside the top 10. Maybe a late race pit stop can get that 99, where he will have 4 consecutive top 10s, Mike.
Thanks, Larry. So those are some of your Credit One Bank ones to watch with 95 laps to go.
They have not done a crank it up. I begged for a crank it up last week, and we got it with like 20 laps to go. We better get a crank it up this week, Fox. You missed it at Auto Club. I think you were listening to me last week, because when I mentioned it, we ended up getting it with like 20 laps to go. So if I mention it now, we have not had a crank it up yet. You guys usually get to listen to that. It's part of the content when you come to these live commentary streams on the channel. They better give it to us. That's all I'm going to say. But, yeah, as of right now, 3.5 second lead for Larson. He is really pulling away from Kevin Harvick right now, showing why he was the favorite coming into this race throughout the race action, both Friday and Saturday on track with practice and qualifying.
That I talked to his crew chief Blake Harris. He said, we have had this
talking about Alex Bowman right now.
Struggled here. It's his home track. He wants to perform. He said these are the important days. You start mid-pack, you work your way out of the Hornet's Nest, and you make your way into the top 10. They've been working on the car, still have more work to do, but it's getting better. He's trying to keep that top 10 streak alive. Regan?
Well, you guys mentioned the 6 of Brad Keselowski in our okay. Let's not forget about his teammate in the 17, Chris Buescher. A strong run for them today. Been fighting the middle of the corner just a little bit, but Chris Buescher, notably not one of his better racetracks here. Only 1 top 10 in 14 starts and having a very good run right now.
Thanks, Regan. Now, William Byron finds himself in a interesting and not positive position. He's fallen to 5.5 seconds back of the lead. I believe that's about the furthest he has been back all day.
Yeah, take all that back now. You're doing good. He fights for me, okay? He fights.
That's exactly what you were looking for. Yeah, take that back out when you get a chance. Unfortunately, that only chance that's not a standard chance is right there. You see it in the bar. Only been that 1 caution with the 10 car having trouble with his wheel. Other than that, not very many chances to make them adjustments and get it back on track.
Briscoe, Hamlin, Keselowski you're looking at here.
7 out the back.
6th, 7th, and 8th.
You heard Larry talking about drivers going clear down to 3rd gear, and that's exactly what you heard with Briscoe. 3rd gear, 4th gear, all the way to 5th gear, back down to 4th gear. Workload through the roof for these guys.
He was the first to show us that with this new car and this 5-speed sequential gearbox, you're going to be doing a lot of shifting. Last year he did it at the Coliseum. He did it here to very good effect, ending up in Victory Lane, and that became the standard pretty much.
Well, we talked about it in qualifying with the difference between the drivers, but this shifting, as we're watching him do it, it's a tool. Shifting becomes a tool. We have so few tools inside of the car to be able to adjust on things that shifting becomes one. If you're tight, you jam it down a gear and you get the car to rotate. You've got more revs, more RPM. You can get the car to rotate more. There's just a lot more that you can do with the car when you have an extra element to get it to turn or get it to not.
There it is, third, fourth, fifth. He was leaving in fourth gear down the back straightaway. Hey, it's not only asking a lot out of the driver. Don't you think it isn't asking a lot out of that engine, the valve train on top of that engine, the gearbox? These things are taking a beating.
Christopher Bell has all but caught William Byron. Bell has been eating away at Byron's third place advantage by about half a tenth a lap. And Byron's cushion for third is just about gone, less than a second now. And Tyler Reddick only half a second back of Christopher Bell.
One of the things that helps with that shifting and not having the mistakes and having gearbox issues is having a sequential gearbox. You know, these cars used to be H pattern, and you know, it was easy to dog, you know, hit them and grind the edges off, and then it made it slip in and out of gears so much more easily. It almost felt like you were dealing with butter. But with the sequential gearbox, you're just moving the shifter forward and backwards. That's it. So it's much more difficult to have a miss shift.
Yeah, you used to get them, you know, crossing the gate. You used to get them hung in between gears with the linkage, and that would, you know, throw the fits. You'd have to get into the pits and have them get underneath of it and you know, literally fix the linkage if they could.
Hamlin to seventh there. Now, for all the keyboard warriors, I'm going to do this in words of one syllable. The last green flag full screen break of this race comes right now.
I think Mike Joy was speaking to all of Twitter, NASCAR Twitterverse on that one. We'll go through our full field running order then right now while that's taking place. Kyle Larson has a 1.9 second lead over Kevin Harvick. It was 3.5 seconds, but Harvick is slowly starting to close that gap here over this portion of the green flag run now that we're about 30 to 40 laps into it. So Harvick gets second still. William Byron in third. He is fading over this run as well. Christopher Bell in fourth. Tyler Reddick in fifth. Brad Keselowski in 6th place, Denny Hamlin 7th, Chase Briscoe 8th, Ryan Blaney 9th, Alex Bowman 10th, Chris Buescher 11th, Joey Logano in 12th, Ross Chastain in 13th, Daniel Suarez 14th, Kyle Busch 15th, Ryan Preece 16th, Michael McDowell 17th, Josh Berry 18th, Bubba Wallace 19th, and Martin Truex Jr. is 20th, EJ Allmendinger in 21st, Eric Jones in 22nd, Ty Gibbs in 23rd, Austin Dillon last car in the lead lap at 24th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 25th place, Noah Gragson in 26th, Corey LaJoie 27th, Austin Cindric 28th, Justin Haley 29th, Ty Dillon is 30th, Harrison Burton in 31st, Ty Gillen 32nd, Zane Smith 33rd, 34th is Cody Ware, Eric Almirola 35th after that right front tire came off on his car earlier, and then BJ McLeod, the only car out of the race with a mechanical issue towards the end of stage 1, will round out the 36-car field for the United Rentals Work United 500 at Phoenix. That's the first time I messed that up today. I'm surprised I haven't. When you have United twice in the title sponsor of the race, it can get confusing. Larson a little bit quicker than Kevin Harvick that last lap by about 0.2 of a second, so maybe Larson was catching some lap cars in a bad spot. Whatever the case was, Harvick has trimmed that lead down from 3.5 seconds to just below 2 seconds before now back to 2.3 again with 79 laps to go. Look out for Kevin Harvick late in this race. Maybe going to try to challenge Kyle Larson in this one. Everybody will still have to pit one more time. They're within the fuel window to make it to the end, so if we do get a caution, we'll likely see our final pit stops then, depending on obviously if we get any more yellows beyond that. But the fuel window, 90 to 94 laps, are well within pit window to make it to the end. If they are to split it in half like they did in stage 1, or sorry, in stage 2, they didn't pit in stage 1 because stage 1 was only 60 laps. But if they split it in half in stage 2 or in stage 3 like they did in stage 2, we're probably going to be seeing pit stops here in about another 15 laps or so. So getting very, very close to green flag pit stops here, which would be the final stop of the race. And a lot of these crews have been pretty good on pit road today. I think the only pit road penalty I could think of was Kyle Busch and his crew having that uncontrolled tire penalty earlier on during the green flag stops in stage 2. That put him a lap down. He took the wave around with that caution for Almirola, and he was able to stay on the lead lap to the end of the stage and has climbed back to 15th. He was 23rd, I think, when he first made that pass-through penalty. So he has slowly come back without any other cautions for incidents. Since then, he has been able to try to time restarts out to get back in the top 10. He was running between 8th and 10th most of the day before that took place. Definitely hit the like button. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't already. AJ Summers, thanks for tuning in. Let me refresh the stream right now. Our goal was 150 likes on the stream. We're only at 97 right now, but we have about 160 people watching. So hit the like button. Again, it helps me out a ton, helps these streams out a ton. And we do these every single week for the NASCAR Xfinity, Truck, and Cup Series on the weekends. Next week, we've got all 3 series coming for you. Saturday, doubleheader, Truck, and then Xfinity at 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then right here, be tuned in at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Atlanta Superspeedway race next weekend. I'll be at Coder the weekend after that, so there will be no live commentary stream the following weekend at Circuit of the Americas for the Cup Series, but I do plan on doing a live commentary stream for both the Truck and the Xfinity races that Saturday. So that will be the plan as of right now there, but not for that Sunday for the Cup race. That will be on the main Fox network, so luckily most of you guys will get to likely be able to watch that race otherwise, but there will be a race highlight video from the grandstands that day, as I'll do for every race I go to in person, like I did last year and the year before. Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe battling for 7th place on the racetrack right now. Probably the closest battle on the track inside the top 10, other than the battle for 3rd between Byron and Bell, as Bell has slowly caught William Byron. He's only about 0.2 of a second behind him, and still about a 2-second lead between Larson and Harvick as of right now as well. Oh, the March Madness selection show starts at 6. I gotcha. I kind of forgot that that was taking place. Yeah, we'll be all right. Oh, little contact between Briscoe and Hamlin. Hamlin tried a crossover move off the exit of turn 40, ran into the back of the 14 before he pulled out of line. That kind of launched the 14 a little further out ahead of him, and as a result, he was not able to complete the pass in turns 1 and 2. Briscoe will stay ahead of him on the top, and he'll be clear off turn 2. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, or at least towards it more, for 3rd, Christopher Bell able to use the lap traffic as a pick. Slower car of Cody Ware was on the outside. He got to the inside of Byron as a result, passed him in turns 3 and 4, gets by another lap car of Almirola that got in Byron's way as well, so Byron quickly losing Bell, and Bell up to 3rd. Byron back to a race low, 4th place position, after winning stage 1 and running 2nd most of the race behind Larson before the pit stops during the stage 2 break, which allowed Harvick to get to 2nd, stay in 2nd after the restart. Byron fell to 3rd, and now has just lost that 3rd place spot to Christopher Bell. Harvick trimming that lead down to just 1.5 seconds now on Kyle Larson with 71 laps to go. Larson catching more lap traffic. He's got the 21 of Harrison Burton in front of him next. Burton already a couple laps down. I think he's 3 down. Corey LaJoie into the pits. He'll be the first one to pit. He was not on the lead lap and has been running around 30th most of the race. Who will be the first of the leaders to pit? If Harvick can pit a lap before Kyle Larson, he could close that 2.5 gap. He's kind of been closing on him over the last handful of laps. It was a 3.5 second lead down to 1.3. Michael McDowell's in. He is also, I believe he is actually on the lead lap. So the first lead lap cars are in. Logano, McDowell, a lot of other cars in the pits as well here. Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman, Ross Chastain, Chris Buescher on their way in. 1 second lead for Kyle Larson over Kevin Harvick. Harvick continues to close, getting through lap traffic a bit quicker and just overall seems to be a little faster this point in the green flag run.
Cindric and Joey Logano.
That's one. That's definitely differentiating yourself, taking advantage of this. Let's see, put these 4 fresh tires on, make an impact, catch that, narrow that gap.
Tyler Reddick is on pit road, and so is Brad Keselowski.
Brad Keselowski
And
in the
more takers
pits.
as well.
Ryan Blaney also in. Chris Buescher's
These are the
in.
ones that I think are going to start drawing those guys down pit road. You start taking somebody in 4th, 5th place, Keselowski, a Reddick, going to put the pressure on them other guys leading this race.
Regan.
Like Tyler Reddick in the 45. That car's loose into turns 1 and 3 right now for him. He came and mentioned a brake shake a few laps ago with that, something to keep an eye out for him. And the 6 of Brad Keselowski, his car is the further they get, the better that race car has been getting.
Bell, Harvick, and Byron
Kyle
are also
Larson
in.
stays out. Corey LaJoy on fresh tires just past the race leader. Here's Byron in. Jamie.
William Byron said he needs to tighten up this car. They've been adjusting on it every single stop. They worked the left side 4 tires here for the 24. Kevin Harvick's getting right in front of the 24 as he makes his way down pit road. Just 2-3 wants to tighten that car up. Needs more rear grip on the 4, Kevin Harvick.
And the leader, Larson, is in. Christopher Bell completes his stop. William Byron out. Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin as Larson comes to his pit. Regan.
Mike, it's been tons of information on the radio from Cliff Daniels to Kyle Larson about exactly what the 4 car is doing and when he is doing it. They're happy with the race car, but updating him on lines and everything else that he can do to continue to go good with that car.
Good work for Larson's crew. Daniel Suarez team at work, trying to keep him on the lead lap and get us cycled back through. Bubba Wallace has not stopped.
Side by side, Harvick and Larson. As Larson gets up to speed on the bottom of the racetrack, he'll be able to hold Harvick clear. That will be the eventual battle for the lead once everybody cycles through pit stops. Eric Jones and Bubba Wallace still have to pit yet. So close. Harvick pitted 1 lap before Larson. He was a second back and was able to close the gap, and now he's just about 2 car lengths behind Larson with 65 laps to go, and the race is on. For the eventual race lead, and most likely the race win if it stays green to the end. Next car behind them for position is Bell, who recycled back into the eventual 3rd place spot. Bubba Wallace, by the way, just pitted. So Eric Jones is the last car in the lead lap that has to pit. He's staying out, hoping for a caution. Get himself some extra track position. Larson gapped Harvick, was about 1/10 of a second quicker that last lap than the 4. There's a lot of lap traffic, though, in front of Kyle Larson, which is going to be very interesting. That was very close for Harvick coming out of the pits. He was alongside Kyle Larson as Larson was getting up to speed on the bottom of the racetrack. And because he wasn't up to speed, he was able to run a lot lower line all the way through the corner, which in return helped him clear Harvick on the exit of turn 2 initially coming out of the pits. Briscoe lost a couple spots on pit road. He's back to 9. Chastain gained a couple. He's up to 11th. Bowman fell out of the top 10 after green flag stops. Is now back to 12th. And I believe that's about the only positions that have changed, considering that Eric Jones still has to pit yet. Daniel Suarez back in the pits. I think he may have had a penalty, so that'll put him a lap down, which will leave just 17 cars on the lead lap, and then once Jones pits, we'll be back to just 16 cars on the lead lap in this race. Jones has about 8-second advantage over Larson in second right now, and a half a second difference between Larson and Harvick. Side-by-side commercial break. Again, your top 10. Eric Jones in the lead. Kyle Larson second. Kevin Harvick third. Christopher Bell in fourth. William Byron fifth. Tyler Reddick sixth. Brad Keselowski seventh. Ryan Blaney eighth. Chase Briscoe ninth. Denny Hamlin 10th. You're watching the United Rentals Work United 500 live on KRC. This is our final break, and then we'll take you to the end of this one shortly thereafter. So it's unanimous. I argued that the Wrangler paint scheme, in my personal opinion, was better and is better than the Black Goodwrench paint scheme. I will stick to that for my own sake. It is my personal favorite. I wanted to ask you guys that same question, what you thought was better. And the Black Goodwrench scheme has won in a landslide. It is 71%, actually, really, if we do the math, 72% said Black Goodwrench, and then the Wrangler scheme only had 28% of 53 votes. So, yeah, no, my bad. I was hoping that more people would root for the Wrangler scheme. It's still my personal favorite. That won't change. But I guess a lot more people like the black one, which I kind of figured would be the case. I honestly thought Wrangler would put up more of a fight. I thought it'd be more 60-40, not 72-28. But I stand corrected. I'll eat my words when I'm wrong. Jeff Curry, thanks for tuning into the stream also. Miss the good old days of Kyle Petty, Jimmy Spencer, and Buckshot Jones all race to see who could bring out the first caution. I like that comment. Buckshot more often than not, it seemed like in those cases. By the way, Buckshot Jones, one of the best names in racing. Anytime you have, like, Jones as your last name, I mean, you got Parnelli Jones. I mean, that just sounds cool. Sounds like a racing name. You have the last name Jones, you better be a race car driver. There's so many people with the last name Jones that are professional athletes, though, so, I mean, it's... If you have the last name Jones, you probably make up like 20% of the Earth's population, I feel like, at this point. But Jones, Johnson, Davidson, I feel like those are so common of last names. Williams, a lot of Williams out there. Speaking of Eric Jones, he is still in the race lead, waiting to make his final pit stop. Again, 90 to 94 laps is the fuel window, but those tires have to be really old. He's getting passed by every car on the racetrack because he is the only one yet to pit. It's been 68 laps so since he pitted, so realistically for fuel, he can go about another 30 laps if he really wants to. Kyle Larson going to the outside lane instead of the bottom this time, trying to get the clean air with the lap car. Noah Gragson in front of him. Kevin Harvick went to the bottom that time through turns 3 and 4. Still about 3 to 4 tenths of a second is the difference between Larson and Harvick with just 54 laps to go. What will this battle become? Harvick nicknamed the closer for a reason. And Kyle Larson here putting up a fight all day long. But the counterpunch being thrown by Kevin Harvick showing that there is pressure on Larson that is in a Hendrick Chevy for the first time all day. And it's taken till 54 laps to go in this 312-lap race, despite the fact we have only had 2 cautions. Jones only a second ahead of Larson, so another lap he should pull away. Harvick lost a lot of time to Larson in 3 and 4. He must have had a hiccup or something because Larson's a full second ahead of him now. And Kyle Larson closing in on Eric Jones. There's a lot of lap traffic ahead of Eric Jones, which is going to be very interesting to see exactly how this is going to go about. And by the way, I mentioned if we didn't have any more cautions in this race, we might time in the fastest NASCAR race in Phoenix history. Average race speed right now, 108.6 miles per hour. The average race speed record is 112 miles per hour. So we are less than 3 mile per hour off of that, or a little more than 3 mile per hour off of that time. So Larson leads. Harvick will get by the slower car of Eric Jones for second place now. Harvick has not led today, but he is the all-time Phoenix lap lead leader as well as most wins. I mean, this is, again, his best track by far. I mean, you got to figure 9 wins. He has 60 in his career. Almost, actually, little, if I do my math correctly, over 15% of Kevin Harvick's wins in his NASCAR Cup career have come right here at Phoenix. And when you have 60, that is a large percentage. That's crazy, too. Larry Mack just dropped a stat that 40 career races at Phoenix, and he has finished everyone. Hasn't even had a DNF at 40 races here. 0.8 of a second lead for Kyle Larson over Kevin Harvick. Jones still in third, just hoping for a caution before he has to pit. He could probably go about another 20 laps or so on fuel yet. 23 cars on the lead lap right now. Once Jones has to pit, we'll be down to 22. Austin Dillon a couple seconds ahead of where Larson's at right now. .49 laps to go.
And everybody has plenty of tires left. They started this race with 9 sets, including the qualifying set that was on the car. So, a lot of options. So Jones now third, about 1 second ahead of Christopher Bell in fourth, and a second and a half ahead of William Byron in fifth.
Now, if you're Jones, what you have to do, be careful with these guys. Obviously, everybody's on tires. Try to time it to where they make that pass where it doesn't cost you time. The other thing you have to do is make sure you're not the caution. You need a caution to come out, make sure you're not it.
You do, but I'm curious, Larry Mack, how far can Eric Jones go on this run?
Yeah, Danica, he last pitted at lap 190, but the way the pace has slowed down, he can probably go another 15, maybe close to 20 laps. But this strategy, what makes this work for him, right now, if the caution comes out, everybody that even made those green flag pit stops, everybody's coming to pit road and getting 4 more tires. They do need a caution right here, though.
Sure, well, right, Larry. Everybody else has 20 green flag laps on their tires, so they'd all have to come as Christopher Bell goes past Eric Jones for third. Harvick, as we get longer into this run, he is nestling right up to the bumper of Kyle Larson. We're going to have a race on our hands here. So why don't we crank it up?
There we go, crank it up. .45 laps to go. They heard me again. Well, that's going on, though. Sorry, I'll try to commentate over it, but side by side for the race lead between Kevin Harvick and Kyle Larson into turns 1 and 2. Harvick on the bottom, Larson on the outside, and with ease, Kevin Harvick's going to take the lead.
I heard even on there, forget crank it up, Clint's cranking it up. I'm cranking it up because the 4 car just made the pass for the lead. I haven't seen that done the whole time. Unbelievable. Did not see this coming whatsoever. The 5 car somehow, some way just got passed.
Now, can Larson take it back?
We were wondering, how was anyone going to beat Kyle Larson? And I think the answer is a long run.
I'm dumbfounded. I saw the 5 car slip off the last time at 3 and 4, missed the bottom at least a little bit, kind of got loose up off.
Good job.
And in the next corner, he made the pass.
Why did we run high in 3 and 4? We shouldn't have done that.
Ooh, Cliff Daniels not happy.
Because the last time through there, he missed the bottom and slipped up out of the groove. That 4 car was getting big in the rearview mirror and forced him to move and make a move and search around. Maybe we should have been doing that a few laps prior to that.
And all day they've all been talking about, once you catch someone, how difficult it is to make the pass. That's something Kyle Larson's going to have to find out now.
You see him slipping and sliding around again. I'm telling you, that car it's out of shape. It's for whatever reason. I don't know if they made an adjustment or what, but he's got his hands full.
Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe. This is the race for 6th place. So Kevin Harvick has gone to the lead with 40-plus laps to go. Could he have made his move too soon?
No, I think you make it as soon as you catch him, and he did that. You heard Cliff Daniels upset about that. Why did we move around? This whole race has been turned upside down. 40 to go, folks.
All right, coming into the closing laps of Phoenix, we're going to take our final side-by-side green flag break. Kevin Harvick now leading Kyle Larson by 1.2 seconds.
38 laps to go, and Kevin Harvick now leads at the Phoenix Raceway, trying to go for his 10th career win at the racetrack in his final season of full-time NASCAR Cup Series competition, and has quickly grown that race lead out over Larson to a 1.5 second difference. Kevin Harvick is consistently running in the 28-second lap barrier, while Larson that last time was a 29.1. It's been pretty equal lap times with Christopher Bell, so Bell's not really able to close in from third place, but Kevin Harvick another 10th quicker than Larson that last lap. How much can Larson maybe salvage his tires during this long run in the hopes that he can end up catching back up to Kevin Harvick in the late going? Now, I will say Larson was getting held up by, I think it was Austin Cindric at the time, quite a bit. By the time he actually got around by the time Larson got around Austin Cindric, Harvick was within about 2 to 3 car lengths. And then Larson immediately went to the outside in turns 3 and 4 after getting by the 2. And that's where Harvick was able to capitalize. He had the momentum off the exit of turn number 4, carried it to the bottom of the track in 1 and 2, and made the pass for the race lead. Bubba Wallace, AJ Allmendinger battling on screen for 20th place, almost making contact as AJ threw it off into the corner, trying to slide up in front of the 23, was unable to do so. Tyler Reddick now has caught William Byron in a battle for 4th. They're side by side. The Hendrick cars have just faded over this final stage. I say faded, I mean Larson's still in 2nd, but he is not able to keep up with Kevin Harvick. Credit to Rodney Childress and that pit crew for making the adjustments that they needed for Kevin Harvick to try to run down Larson under green flag conditions in this final stage. We have not seen a caution in stage 3 to this point. And for Kevin Harvick's sake, the best chance for him to win is this to stay green, because if we get a caution and we have cars hit pit road, Kyle Larson and that 5 team have won the race off pit road, that number 1 pit box, every single pit stop so far. So that is crucial, and you also have to look back to the Stage 2 break when they pitted, when Harvick beat Byron out of the pits. That allowed him to restart in the front row. He was able to get by the 24 car quickly, and despite going back 3.5 seconds off the lead from Larson, he was able to catch up to him through the green flag pit stops, and then on the other side of that, able to eventually pass Larson for the race lead and potentially the win if he could hold on. Chevrolet has won the first 3 races of the year. Ford, Toyota still yet to go to victory lane. And with the Toyotas having a good day, a decent day, they have 2 of them in the top 5, but they haven't contended necessarily for the race win like the Hendrick Chevys of Byron and Larson, and now even the Ford of Kevin Harvick at the front of the field. SHR trying to win this spring race at Phoenix for the 2nd consecutive season, and now it's just a matter of can Harvick hang on to those tires throughout the course of the run, or will Kyle Larson be the new closer and close in on the original closer?
9 overtime finishes here. I'm going to give credit to Jamie McMurray for this stat. That is 3rd behind Daytona and Talladega only.
Oh. That is the 2nd time I've heard them try to jinx that guy. First was the DNF deal, now it's with the with the cautions coming out.
10 different organizations in the top 15. Eric Jones has finally made his pit stop. He was, I think, 21st or 2nd when the pit stop round began. He comes out 23rd. First car 1 lap down. So net gain, 0. Net loss, 0.
Hey.
And it's worth it because now he's got fresher tires, and maybe he can try to gain some more positions in the back half of this race, having about 30 lap fresher tires. Kevin Harvick down to the bottom as he gets by Corey LaJoie. Kyle Larson has been quicker the last 3 laps than Kevin Harvick, as Larson is able to run the outside through 1 and 2. Harvick going to the bottom, whereas usually where Harvick would like to be, he's now having troubles trying to get by the 54 car of Ty Gibbs, who was the last car on the lead lap. Oh, Harvick lost the nose of his car now in turns 1 and 2. Had to lift, and Larson's going to gain a ton of time in turns 1 and 2. And Larson now just 1.4 seconds off the race lead after falling 2 seconds back just a handful of laps ago. Harvick still behind Gibbs. He's got a nice run off turn 4. Carries the momentum through the dogleg down to the bottom of the track in turns 1 and 2. Will he be able to clear Gibbs this time? Maybe, maybe not. Tough to tell because we have a random Stewart-Haas graphic on the screen. That was not a good time for that. Harvick did get by Gibbs, and now he is side by side with Zane Smith in the 38. Trying to get by him as well, and now it's Larson's turn to try to get by Gibbs and Zane Smith next. Harvick put down another 28.8 that last lap. Larson a 29.250, and the lead's right back to a 2.1 second lead for Harvick over Larson. So Harvick was struggling to get by Ty Gibbs, and now Kyle Larson is struggling as well. Byron is about a second behind Christopher Bell in third. Tyler Reddick, who caught him a little bit ago, still hasn't been able to pass him. They're still within about 3 to 4 tenths of a second of each other in a battle for fourth place. Ryan Blaney has moved into sixth during this green flag run, getting by both Briscoe and Keselowski after green flag pit stops. This is as high as Blaney has been in the running order so far. Bubba Wallace now the last car in the lead lap at 21st. And Ross Chastain back in the top 10 after passing Alex Bowman recently for the 10th place position. Actually, that was a little while ago because Chastain's about 2.5 seconds ahead of Bowman. Larson fading quickly now as he's about 2.5 to 3 seconds off the race lead with just north of 20 laps to go. Larry McReynolds set that stat out that Phoenix is the third track to have the most overtime finishes, only behind the super speedways of Daytona and Talladega. So will we see yet another overtime finish today at Phoenix to give some other drivers a chance yet? And it's going to be interesting the later we go, if we do get a caution, on whether or not the top drivers in the field will even pit. Because it'd be a tough decision to have to make. We saw last week that pitting for 2 tires was the race win call. Not necessarily staying out, but not taking 4 either. Bubba Wallace goes a lap down. So down to just 20 cars on the lead lap. Austin Dillon right in front of Harvick is the last car of which on the lead lap. Got a couple of Chevys in front of the 4 car. 3.3 seconds. Larson consistently, lap after lap, is about 0.2 of a second slower than Kevin Harvick at this point in the run, and Larson is still 2 seconds ahead of Bell, although Bell has been about a tenth or so quicker a lap than Larson, so he has closed the gap slowly on the 5. Harvick to the inside of Austin Dillon. Not going to be able to pass him that time through turns 3 and 4. He'll stay on the inside of the 3. And down into turns 1 and 2, he'll lap him. 19 cars on the lead lap. Allmendinger just in front of Harvick next. And if Harvick gets around him, it'll be Martin Truex Jr. will be the last car on the lead lap after that. Michael McDowell has gotten his way back up to 13th, and then Kyle Busch from that pit road penalty has got back to 12th after being a lap down, took the wave around. Michael McDowell actually did take the wave around when he was a lap down earlier in the race. Same time Kyle Busch did, and that also worked out for him. I remember McDowell qualified inside the top 10, qualified 7th, but ended up falling back pretty heavily at the beginning of this race to now get himself back inside the top 15.
What can I do to help you? Nothing for this amount of runs. About 4 runs, I'm just not as good as before, and I'm guessing the 20 guy means.
Short run's fine. Car is fine for short runs.
There it is again.
They get a chance to work on it. All he needs is another green flag.
You know what, though? Kevin didn't necessarily pass him on a long run. That wasn't very deep into that run. Maybe, 20 laps that he caught him. The whole day, Kevin has been good 30, 35 plus laps on, in that first stage. Look at that. He really didn't start showing an advantage until at least 35 laps of the 60.
Well, you've got to look at then if Kyle and them are not complaining, William are not complaining about the balance, but Kevin there was some more potential speed in his car. They just didn't hit it right yet. So as they do get closer to hitting it, all of a sudden they're in the mix.
Here's the Toyota cam on board Martin Truex, who is now the last car on the lead lap in 18th place.
16 laps to go. Top 5. Kevin Harvick in the lead by 3.3 seconds over Kyle Larson. Christopher Bell, 5.5 seconds off the lead in third. William Byron, 7.4 seconds off the lead in fourth. And Tyler Reddick is fifth at 8.9 seconds off the lead. So that is the top 5 right now. Well, at least I had money on Larson, Chastain to get top 10s, and so far so good there. Although Bowman is reeling in Chastain, so that kind of scares me for that one, because he's only like a second ahead of him. Oh, jeez. I got Keselowski, too. He's in 7th. But Larson not going to win this thing unless we get a late race caution, so we'll see. Just over 200 people watching. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. If you have not already, only 63.5% of you guys that have watched the channel in the last 4 weeks, the first 4 weeks of the season, are not subscribed to the channel. So hit the subscribe button. Helps these streams out a ton. And then hit the like button because our goal is 150 likes on the stream. And as of right now, we're only at 108 and we have over 200 people watching. So we got to get to that goal of 150. We still have a little bit of a post ratio following this. You'll get to listen to any interviews from any of the top finishers as well here as we get closer to the finish.
Explains it because they were driving each other pretty dirty as far as I'm concerned. Slide jobs. The 3 car slid up in front of Allmendinger. I've seen him, remember the clash? He didn't necessarily like that.
Right.
Wrecked a guy in practice. Probably not going to slide job AJ Allmendinger.
They are all trying to be the first car 1 lap down in case the caution should wave in these closing 13 laps.
Harvick is now grown out to a 4.5 second lead over Kyle Larson. And this is getting interesting here down to the wire on whether or not that we will receive a yellow. I mean, that's about the only thing you could hope for if you're not a Kevin Harvick fan. Because Harvick has definitely driven away from the rest of the field here since those final green flag pit stops. It's the first time he has led all day, adding on to that laps led total that he already holds at Phoenix all time. 11 laps to go at the line. Truex is about to go a lap down. Sounds like we've got it. Yeah, we got a caution. Harrison Burton's got a right front tire down. A spin, and Burton's got a right front tire down, bringing out a caution with 10 laps to go. Wow. Yeah, there was a fender from the right front that is laying on the racetrack. Bringing out a late caution with 10 laps to go, while Kevin Harvick had about a 4.5 second lead over Kyle Larson in second. And now the decision is, do you pit or do you not pit? It looked like Burton may have gotten into the wall off turn 4 before spinning. Yeah, he did slightly brush the wall before he spun off of turn 4. It wasn't much, but definitely lost the handle of it. And one Ford bringing out a caution is going to cause another Ford potential heartbreak. Yeah, the right front tire definitely blew out after the spin. Austin Dillon going to get the free pass in 19th place as well. He'll get back on the lead lap late. Richard Mackins, thanks for tuning in. Feels like the old days of guys that throw out bottles and batting to get cautions. I wouldn't say Harvick's got the worst luck. There's probably drivers out there that have the worst, but he's had probably the best, like, 50-50 luck in NASCAR. Like, he either has the greatest of luck or the worst of luck. And I feel like in the later going of his career, he's probably had more worse than better. Versus in the middle portion of his career when he was winning, like, 6 to 8 races a season, he was having a lot of good luck. I mean, he was nicknamed the closer for a reason. And he's going to have to close the deal out here late as we're going to get a restart. We should have more than 2 laps to go after the cleanup with this right front tire. So it's going to be more than a 2-lap shootout, which is also going to probably dictate whether drivers take 2 tires or 4. It was a 2-tire call that won last week's race with William Byron. What will it be this week? And remember, Larson's got that number 1 pit box and has won the race off of pit road every single stop so far under caution today. All 3 of them. He's 3 for 3. Harvick is going to be on his way in. And Kyle Larson trying to close that gap as they hit the commitment line, and he does.
Did a pretty good job getting to his rear bumper.
Jamie.
Trying to decipher code words down here, Mike. Listening to the 24, they used this same code word a week ago at Vegas. I don't want to give it away, but this could be a 2-tire stop here. Going to watch and see if they call an audible and end up doing 4 tires. It will be 4 for the 24. Kevin Harvick on the other side. Been working on this car. Great stop. Nope, it's 2 tires. 4 tires for the 4, Regan.
Jamie, it's code words all over my end of pit road as well. The 20 car, Christopher Bell, needs to just be a little bit freer with the race car. That's all he's asked for. And the 5 of Kyle Larson, he said short runs are great. This is exactly what they needed in a quick stop.
Larson wins the race off pit road. Kevin Harvick loses a ton of time in the pits. He lost 6 spots on pit road with a 4-tire stop, and that's because the top 5 took 2 tires. The top 5 took 2 tires. Harvick was the first on 4, loses 6 spots, and we're going to get a restart with a few laps to go. And Kyle Larson is back in the lead again after dominating the race thus far, leading 193 laps. Trying to seal the deal. Remember, last week, it was Kyle Larson who was leading when a caution came out for Almirola spinning with about 3 laps to go, which caused the teams to come back onto pit road for an overtime finish in which Larson did not win the race off of the pits, and William Byron ended up capitalizing to win the race after he led the most laps. Then we look at this week. Larson leads the most laps in the race. Harvick takes the lead in the final stage as Larson did on Byron last week. We get a late caution to set up a restart with a few laps to go. And just like last week, it wasn't Byron, though, that won the race out of the pits this time. It was Larson, and Larson led the most laps in the race earlier today. So it's kind of funny how history is repeating itself 2 weeks in a row, and Kyle Larson is the common denominator in both of those races. Only this time might be on the receiving end of a win if he can get another good restart today. Ryan Blaney, by the way, moved up to 3rd after that pit stop with the 2-tire stop. So again, the top 6, I might have said the top 5, the top 6 took 2 tires. This is big for Kyle Busch. Busch was in 12th and now is in 5th on this restart with the 2 tires. Track position matters, but these restarts have been crazy at Phoenix ever since this reconfiguration about a decade ago. And now we're about to find out how crazy this one's going to get, as we're probably going to have a restart with 4 laps left is what it's looking like. Looking like a 4-lap restart to decide the winner of this race, as they will head to the choose cone this time by. And I'm sure Larson will take the inside because it has worked for him every restart thus far. Which means Byron will probably be on the outside of row 1. more than likely. I will say, though, that there was debris on the track after Harrison Burton had spun. He didn't spin because of the right front tire, but the right front tire blew during the spin and caused his right front fender when he was limping the car back to pit road. So let's just say they didn't throw the caution when he spun. He ended up shedding some debris on his way back to pit road anyway that they would have ended up having to throw the caution for. So it is tough to see. You hate to see the race kind of come down to that when it looks like one driver hasn't won 2 weeks in a row. It's going to be interesting, though, how much the 4 tires will matter versus the 2. And by the way, they are not going green with 4 to go. They'll be going green with 3 laps to go, so we'll have 1 less lap left than what I was originally expecting. So a 3-lap green-white checker shootout to decide the winner of the race. And just as overtime rules would apply, if the race leader gets to the white flag, then the next flag will end the race, whether it's the yellow or the checker. We had a crash on the last lap last week that didn't result in a caution when it probably should have on the backstretch, but needless to say, it didn't really result in the finish for the race win, as Byron pretty much had it won at that point anyway. But if we were to see something like that here at Phoenix, it could end the race. We obviously saw that happen in the Daytona 500. As expected, Larson is going to be on the bottom lane for the restart, and Byron will be on the outside. I'm a Blaney fan, so even though I have money for Larson winning this race, I'm going to say if William Byron gets the win, could be better for me. Like, subscribe on your way out of the stream. We're going to take you home to the finish. Now, Larson and Byron on the front row, as they have been for all but one restart all day today. Harvick inside of row 4, the first car on fresh tires. 4 fresh tires. Everybody else in front of him only took right sides. Will they make it back to the checker? Will they make it back to the white? Green flag back in the air. Larson going to get a launch off the start, down to try to block the 12 of Blaney. Slight bit of contact made. One car spun his tires in the middle. Might have been Brad Keselowski in the 6. Loses a ton of positions. Hornet's nest around him. Ryan Blaney to the inside of William Byron for second. Contact as they're 4 wide off of turn 2. Bottlenecking. All hanging on to it. And it looked like A.J. Allmendinger spun at the back of the pack, bringing out a caution. Heavy damage on Ty Gibbs' Toyota. Larson got to the lead on the restart, but he's going to have to do it again as we have yet another caution in turns 1 and 2 further back in the pack. Second straight week, Allmendinger has had a crash in a late race restart in the final couple laps. So Ty Gibbs was already against the wall with Corey LaJoie. And then somehow or another, Noah Gragson and A.J. Allmendinger made contact in front of him, and Gibbs ran right into the back of the 42. So, 2 separate accidents in the same corner on the restart. Oh, man. Yeah, Gibbs just kind of overdrove the corner, which caused him to go in the wall. I don't know what happened with A.J. and Gregson. I don't know if AJ tried a slide job and just didn't clear the 42 or got tight or something. Whatever the case was, they made contact and they kind of got T-boned into the wall, and Gibbs was already on the wall after hitting it himself further back, and he ended up ramming into the back of Gregson. So we are going to overtime for the 3rd race out of 4 to start the season. The only race not to go to overtime for the Cup Series was Auto Club. Cool if Harvick wins with the 4 freshies. It doesn't look like he gained any spots. He restarted 7th and is still in 7th after the restart. I saw Brad Keselowski drop like a rock on the restart. I don't know what happened. He restarted 10th and is now back to 18th. But he did not take off. Yes, definitely. Everybody hit the like button, subscribe. We have over 200 people watching, about 250 people watching the stream right now. Our goal was 150 likes, and we're at 128 right now. So 22 likes shy of our goal today. Be sure to hit it as we are going into overtime for our 3rd race out of 4 to start the season. Larson Byron more than likely going to be on the front row again. Larson has timed his restarts out. He's 4 for 4 inside row 1 on the restarts. And he's got to time it out again. And for the 3rd time in stage 3 and the 2nd time with 3 or less laps to go in the race. Now this time with it being overtime, we're only going to have 2 laps on the restart versus 3. But same rules apply. If they get to the white flag, the next flag ends the race. Now, of the drivers that restarted taking right sides only, I think only Kyle Busch lost a lot of track position. He is back in 10th. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Tyler Reddick is the first car on 4 fresh tires. He is in 4th. I could be wrong on that, but I do think Reddick is the first car on 4 tires. And he's been pretty good in traffic on the restarts today. He's got 3 drivers on 2 tires in front of him yet. And he's going to have 2 laps to get there. Quebeca, Robbie Crawford, thanks for tuning in. I got a lot of money here if Kyle Larson pulls this win off. And as long as him and Chastain get top 10s also, which obviously if Larson wins, he's going to get a top 10. Plus, winning position of the top would be in the top 10, so that would be great for me too. Needless to say, I'm pulling for Larson. Well, I mean, I'm pulling for Ryan Blaney because no matter how much money I would ever win, my favorite driver is Ryan Blaney. I want him to win. After seeing him go winless last season too, it'd be great for him to get a win here, stealing one late. He hasn't led a lap all day. Honestly, this is the first time he's been in the top 5 all day. He's been 6th through 10th most of the race, but is in 3rd place for the 2nd consecutive restart. It looked like he may have gotten underneath Larson. When Larson made the block, there was definitely contact down in the dogleg initially on that restart. And it'll be interesting if he maybe gets another good launch again. So again, Reddick, first driver on 4 tires. Josh Berry also 13th, having a pretty solid day. He's been top 15 most of the second half of this race. Has a chance to maybe steal a top 10 in the late going. A win guarantees a spot in the playoffs as long as we don't get more than 16 different winners. We are 3 different winners in the first 3 races. Stenhouse winning the Daytona 500. Byron won last week at Las Vegas. And, of course, the second race of the year was won by Kyle Busch at Auto Club 2 weeks ago. Larson, who's led the most laps today, looking for his first win after finishing runner-up second last week due to an overtime finish in which he was not able to hold on this weekend in overtime. He's going to be the one to try to get the win, steal it from a guy who had led the majority of the final 50 laps of the race up to that second to last yellow, which was Kevin Harvick, who again is back at 7th for the restart. Blaney will be inside of row 2 again. Reddick will be outside of row 2. And sorry if there is a slight delay from YouTube to what you guys are potentially watching. For those of you watching the race on the Big Fox. Kyle Larson, William Byron will lead the field to the green for potentially the final time today. Our first attempt at an overtime finish. Unlimited attempts if they can't get to the white flag. Larson gets the launch, green flag back in the air. Blaney going to give the 5 a push. That bottlenecks the inside up, and Blaney gets a little squirrely now trying to block the middle lane as the 11 of Hamlin tries to go up there. Bell occupying the bottom on Bell. Meanwhile, side by side at the front of the field between Kyle Larson and William Byron. There's contact off of turn 2. Blaney gets a second win. He's 3 wide on the bottom for the lead. Reddick on the top shoots the 24 into the corner. Ryan Blaney squeezes Kyle Larson, who's in the middle. Byron back to the lead as he tries to go for 2 in a row. Larson 3 wide in the middle still into the front stretch. Final lap of the race. Next flag ends it. 4 fresh tires for Tyler Reddick, but it's going to be Larson who has side drafted him in the middle of the corner, slowing him up. Blaney clear for second. Byron all clear off of turn 4. Back-to-back wins for the 24 of William Byron as he makes his way off turn 4 to get the checkered flag for the second straight week. And for the second straight week, Larson loses it in overtime. William Byron a winner again. Ryan Blaney second, Tyler Reddick third, Larson fell back to 4th, and Harvick snuck in late with a top 5 and 5th. Unbelievable. William Byron, 2 weeks in a row, a win in overtime. After his teammate Larson was at 1 point leading in the final stage. Got a feel for Larson and Harvick a little bit here in the late going. 2 fastest cars in the final stage of the race end up finishing 4th and 5th. And Byron, who looked good early on, but in the final stage was running about 4th or 5th most of the time on speed and really fallen off. Couldn't keep up with the adjustment. Steals it on the final restart. They were 3 wide for the lead into 3. With 2 to go, and then they were 3 wide for second, further behind them for a majority of the final lap, which allowed for Byron to pull away. Ran and hid, and gets the victory.
Race took it from his teammate.
Well, we saw that short run speed come back to serve them well.
First time that Byron has had a top 5 finish here.
Fixed that, didn't he?
6th career win for the 25-year-old who went to his first race at Martinsville, Virginia when he was in grade school. Tony Stewart won that day, and it made a lifelong impression on William Byron, who says at Hendrick Motorsports, he says the guys with the pop-off valve on that pressure cooker are Rick Hendrick and Chad Knaus. But the one person at Hendrick that's really brought William out of his shell has been Jeff Gordon.
Just a fun guy. Just a fun guy.
Yes, he's going to want to see that replay of that spin. That caution that came out cost him dearly. Unfortunate.
Kevin Harvick finishes 5th and extends his streak. Not the finish he and Robbie Childers hoped for.
It was good to see someone get in the mix, though, with the Hendrick cars. Obviously, they were running away with it, and Kevin was up there. You still got to walk away and say this was a good day today. We were fast. We were there.
Here's Regan with the winner.
2 in a row for William Byron. William, you led laps early in this race. The middle part of the race fell back just a little bit, but then the call at the end by Rudy Fugle to take 2 tires. What were you thinking at that moment?
Yeah, just over the last couple weeks to him, he's done a really good job. Strategy-wise and execution-wise, we've done a good job to put ourselves in those positions on the front row with a shot at the end. So just thanks to everybody back at Hendrick Motorsports, putting together great cars and just doing a great job. So this is a big credit to them, the engine shop, Mr. Hendrick, everybody. So cool to have Valvoline back on the car. Really historic looking paint scheme. So nice to get it in victory lane.
2 in a row for William Byron.
And what a show Kevin Harvick put on, racing your way all the way to the front. Led a lot of laps there. And then you had the late race caution when you took 4 tires. Did you think that was the right call at the time when you realized the others around you took 2?
It's what I would have done. I'd always rather be on offense. And, I just didn't get a couple cars when that first caution came out. And kind of lost our chance. And still thought I had a chance there at the end. I mean, those cars were quite a bit slower, but they get all jammed up. And that's the way it goes. I mean, just smoked them up until the caution. They did a great job with our Hunt Brothers Pizza Ford Mustang and just didn't need that caution at the end.
10 straight years. This man has finished in the top 10 right here at Phoenix.
5th place today. 2007 was the last time the number 24 won back-to-back, and here's how he did it.
See the 12 car get into the back of the 5, kind of shot him out there, and then they got 3 wide on Blaney, takes him out of the equation. But William Byron, holding strong, drove that thing way off into the corner, because you know the 5 drove him up the racetrack, held strong on that outside, cramming him down, made him get out of the gas so much that the 12 of Blaney came back to them. Huge push out of the back from Reddick. The rest is history. Clear down, take your win, William Byron.
Now, the 2 cars that had contact and got up into the turn 2 wall, end up the last cars on the lead lap.
Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain got together on that restart further back. I was wondering how Chastain fell outside of the top 10 there late. That would be how Hamlin and Chastain finished 23rd, 24th. So this time it was actually Hamlin running into the 1 rather than the 1 into the 11 as they were battling for about 6th on the restart. Both finished outside the top 20 as a result. 0.3 of a second margin of victory for William Byron over second place Ryan Blaney. An overtime thriller once again. Byron wins for the second consecutive week as he has now racked up 3 stage wins, 2 race wins. That's 13 playoff points in the first 4 races of the year for the 24 team. Great start. Obviously the first to get the 2 wins as well. So Byron with the win. Ryan Blaney ended up second. Tyler Reddick finished third. He was the first car on 4 tires at the end of the race of those that pitted. Kyle Larson ends up finishing 4th. Kevin Harvick 5th. Christopher Bell ended up 6th. Chase Briscoe 7th. Kyle Busch 8th. Alex Bowman 9th. And Josh Berry with his first career top 10 ends up finishing 10th. Joey Logano 11th. Ryan Preece in 12th. Michael McDowell 13th. Bubba Wallace 14th. Chris Buescher 15th. Austin Dillon 16th. Martin Truex Jr. 17th. Brad Keselowski 18th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 19th. And AJ Allmendinger 20th. Eric Jones 21st. Daniel Suarez 22nd. Denny Hamlin 23rd. Ross Chastain 24th. Again, Hamlin and Chastain made contact there on that final restart. Turns 1 and 2 ended up in the wall. They were the last couple cars on the lead lap. Austin Cindric ended up 25th. Corey LaJoie 26th. Justin Haley 27th. Ty Gibbs 28th. Noah Gragson 29th. And Ty Dillon 30th. Zane Smith 31st. Todd Gilliland 32nd. 33rd was Eric Almirola. Cody Ware 34th. Harrison Burton 35th. And BJ McLeod, the only car that did not finish today's race, ended up last in 36th. We had a total of just 6 different leaders. Kyle Larson led 201 laps out of 312 today. Finishes 4th. And then with those 6 different leaders, we had 11 lead changes total in today's race and just 5 cautions, including the 2 at the very end, setting up a restart with 3 to go, and then the overtime restart at the very end of the race as well. So as far as the spotlight drivers for this weekend, William Byron, one of the must-haves, gets the race win today. Kyle Larson ended up finishing 4th. He was a must-have. He's my pick to win. Unfortunately, couldn't hold on. He held on to the first to last restart, but the second to last restart, but then the very last one in overtime, he could not hang on to get the win. Tough break there. Kevin Harvick was another one of the must-have. Also had a top 5, so hit on 3 of them right there. And then the other was Chastain, who ended up 24th. Had a top 10 until he and Hamlin got together in that final restart. And they both ended up dropping back as a result. So went 3 for 4 there. The 2 sleeper picks of Chase Briscoe and Brad Keselowski. Briscoe ended up 7th, had a top 10, so I was right on that one. Keselowski was there all day, but on the second to last restart, for whatever reason, he did not take off. Everybody was splitting him 3 wide middle. He lost 8 spots and then ended up finishing 18th despite restarting 10th on that final restart. So tough break for him. Let's see here. What else we have? And then the don't have picks. The 3 that I predicted not to finish in the top 10. Alex Bowman did. He did finish 9th. I was wrong on him. I was right on Truex and Wallace. Bubba Wallace finished 14th and Mark Truex Jr. 17th. They were outside the top 10 all day. So ended up splitting 2 for 3 on the don't haves, 1 for 2 on the sleepers, and 3 for 4. So total on predictions this weekend, if I do my math correctly, ended up 6 for 9. So I got 2/3 of the picks correct this weekend. Not terrible by any means. Pretty good, honestly. It could have been better if Larson could have held on to win. Could have had a bonus one, and Chastain and Hamlin didn't get together there. Could have hit on all but one. The only one I would have missed was Bowman. He did get back in the top 10 there in the late going, even before the late race restarts. I think he was in 10th anyway. So Prove me wrong. That's the first top 10 for him in the last 10 races at Phoenix. So good. That is actually 4 straight finishes in the top 10 to start the year for Bowman. He's the only driver to finish in the top 10 in the first 4 races of the season. So we'll go through the fantasy team real quick here. At the very end, if we get any other driver interviews between now and then, you guys will get to listen in as well. Let's see here. Let's go Fantasy Live. I took Kyle Busch out of my lineup because he was struggling, and then I think he ended up getting the top 10. And Chastain ended up with Hamlin in the last lap in the wall. That cost me some points. That cost me 11 fantasy points. Thanks, Denny Hamlin. Needless to say, though, have William Byron. He won the race, 59 points. That is 59 and 60 points last 2 weeks for Byron. He is climbing and soaring through his way through the regular season standings, trying to get to the lead here shortly if he can keep that pace up. Ryan Blaney had a good day, ended up finishing in second. Kyle Larson 4th, Kevin Harvick in 5th. So I had 4 of the top 5 on my team, and then Chastain restarted 6th on that final restart, but unfortunately fell back to a 24th place finish. Here is Ryan Blaney with Jamie Little in the background.
It's exciting there, especially those last 2 restarts. Just take us through kind of what you were seeing in your perspective there when you had a shot at it.
Yeah, we did a good job putting 2 on it there, and I wanted to be third. I wanted to be on the bottom just in case, the leader slides up and you can kind of roll the bottom, and that's kind of what happened. I thought I was in a good spot off 2, being underneath them, and I think the 24 got some help from the 45 kind of down the back and got clearer. And I wasn't able to stay side by side with them, but overall a good day. We started off okay, and we got a little better as the day went on. And then the 2 tires were the right call at the end. So really proud of the effort. Appreciate Dent Wizard and Ford and Menards for doing what they do, and just keep creeping in on it. Just got to keep working at it, and I think we're getting better. It's just a matter of finding that next step.
Ryan Blaney brings it home second today.
Yeah, the top finisher out of those Fords, despite the...
So again, that was Ryan Blaney. Like I said, I put Kyle Busch in my garage there for the end of stage 2 because he had that pit road penalty, went a lap down, but a good comeback for him to get a top 10 at the end of the race. Bonus picks, I had Byron over Briscoe, so I got that one right. Had Blaney over Truex, got that right. Got Reddick over Cindric, so 30 of 40. I did have Chastain over Bell, which would have been close on that last restart. I don't know if he would have beaten Bell necessarily or not, even with Hamlin not getting into him. But definitely didn't help that he did get into him. Finishing results, this week's winner after an interview with Regan Smith and Tyler Reddick.
4 tires and had position. Just need a couple more laps there.
I just needed to execute on that restart, Regan. Just didn't get the launch I needed to, and wasn't with Williams' back bumper to take advantage of it in turn 1. So it's very frustrating, naturally. I think last year, kind of the same thing. Didn't have the best of restarts and finished 3rd, but everyone on the Beast Unleashed, Toyota Camry, TRD, did a really good job. This car was solidly I would say a 3rd to 5th place car all day long. So bringing home 3rd's great, but obviously when you're on 4 and you get in position and have a restart at the end there, you want to capitalize. So frustrated for sure.
Thanks, Tyler.
Frustrated, but I mean, he needed...
That's the first top 10 of the season for Tyler Reddick. Again, a 3rd place finish for him. The Plow V3 wins this weekend's Fantasy League by just 1 point over me. As I ended up in second, 247 points for him, 246 for me. I want to see where he beat me because he only won by 1. As far as bonus points go, looks like he got all 40 bonus points. That's really where he beat me. I only had 30 bonus points. Well, 30 is still good. If you can even split 20-20, that's pretty good. But, yeah, I ended up having 10 less bonus points than him, and that was pretty much the difference. He also had Logano who snuck in with an 11th place finish at the end. Here's Regan Smith with Kyle Larson.
Well, we got lucky with the 1 caution, and the team made a great call to take 2 to get us out in the lead, and restarts were just tough. I felt like I ran William up pretty high, and I was expecting him to lose some grip, but he did a really good job of holding it to my outside and clear me down the back. So yeah, I'm pissed off, but great fight by the team, great car, way better than we were here last year. So yeah, I mean, it's a long season, but hopefully we're in the Final Four when we come back here in November and can have a run similar to that with speed and try to just execute a little bit better there at the end.
Thanks, Kyle.
Can understand that frustration. Missed opportunity for the...
So, the points coming into the weekend, not an Elliott fan, ended up with the win. Colt Thompson was second, 597 points total. B-Chat Motorsports was 3rd, Derek Booth was 4th, and then EC23 in 5th. I was in 11th with 472. And finishing 2nd this week is going to help me out a ton. Might move me back in the top 5. The rest of the top 5 for this week, though, not an Elliott fan, ended up finishing in 3rd with 242 points. So that worked out for him. Monster Jam X10 ended up with 239 points in 4th. And then Inside Uranus rounded out the top 5 with 238 points. So again, it is free to join. Chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race if you're choosing in 2024. If you do end up winning the regular season and or playoff championship. If you win twice, then you end up getting 2 different races to pick from, or you can take 4 for the same race. So appreciate everybody tuning in today. That's going to end up finishing out our live stream. Thanks for everybody watching. We have 145 likes. If you have not hit the like button, please do so. Our goal is 150, and we're only 5 likes away. So 5 likes away from our goal. Be sure to hit the like button if you have not hit it already, and definitely subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't already, because we will have plenty more live commentary streams to come throughout the rest of this season. Next weekend, Atlanta, we'll be streaming the Truck Xfinity and Cup Series once again. Xfinity Series will be at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday after the truck race. The truck race will start at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on the channel, and then we'll go live for the Cup race on Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you for that one. Great finish to today's race. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our broadcast, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, everybody. KRC sounding out. Sounding out. Yeah, I had that right. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your Sunday night.